Chapter 453. Nascent Soul Monk Chen Fuxing. That's right. With the help of Sheng Yuandan, Chen Fuxing finally became the second monk of the Chen family to break through to the nascent soul period after Chen Daoxian. Now, Chen Fuxing was shrouding the surroundings faintly with his divine sense, and he looked at the crowd with high vigilance, until he saw Chen Daoxian, Patriarch. Chen Fuxing's voice suddenly sounded in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness. Well, how is the construction of the teleportation array? Patriarch, the teleportation formation was successfully built a month ago, and now the formation masters of Tianyangzong are debugging the formation. Debugging? Chen Daoxian thought for a while. You mean determine the space anchor of the teleportation? Yes. Chen Fuxing nodded. Tianyangzong is worthy of being a sect known for its formation, and the space anchors recorded in their sect are very rich. Not only in Zhongzhou, but they have teleportation anchors in the Southern Immortal Territory, the Western Immortal Territory and the Eastern Immortal Territory. There was a hint of excitement in Chen Fuxing's tone. These teleportation anchor points may be nothing to first-class forces such as Top Sect and Wuxia men, but for a second-rate force it is very precious. Especially for these second-rate sects in the northwest frontier. Like Qianyuan Jianzong in terms of strength it is by no means weaker than Tianyangzong, but there is no space teleportation array in their sect that communicates with the outside world. Even when they responded to Tianzuan City's call, and rushed to help Liangjiyuan, they all traveled to the capital of Su Kingdom by Tianyangzong teleportation array. Just when Chen Daoxian was about to say something, the teleportation pattern in front of him suddenly lit up. Immediately after, a figure instantly appeared on the teleportation array. Chen Daoxian took a closer look and saw that it was none other than his newlywed Taoist partner, concubine Chen Xue. Share. Chen Daoxuan's figure flashed and appeared in front of Fei Chen Xue. When Fei Chen Xue saw Chen Daoxian, her face was happy at first, but then her pretty face became serious again. What's wrong? Chen Daoxian couldn't help but ask. Qingwei Dao has dispatched troops. Chen Daoxian frowned. Who is the target? Tianyangzong or? Fei Chen Xue shook her head. It's the Hall of Thousand Machines. What? Chen Daoxuan's mood suddenly became very heavy. Among the four major sects, Zhuanyangzong, Tianyangzong, Qianji Temple and Spirit Insect Valley, what Chen Daoxian cared about most was Qianji Temple, because he made an oath of the Great Way in order to obtain the inheritance of the sect of Qianji Temple. If the Temple of Thousand Machines were destroyed in this battle, he would have to shoulder the burden of revenge for them. And the object of Chen Daoxuan's revenge is not only the Situ family, but also the unfathomable Wuxia men. Be honest. Chen Daoxian had been to the capital of Su Kingdom, and saw the tip of the iceberg of the power of Wuxia men. If it is not necessary, he does not want to confront this force directly. Although he and Xiao Yuhua of Wuxia men have formed a cause and effect, this does not mean that Chen Daoxian will fight to the end with Wuxia men. It's two different things. There are many ways for Chen Daoxian to get rid of Xiao Yuhua. The most obvious way is to kill him on the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan. The extraterritorial battlefield is the place where the two worlds meet. Countless world monsters and human race cultivators fought there, which could be called an Azura field. There, the death of a third-level Taoist of the world realm is no different from the death of an ant, and it will not cause the slightest disturbance. Even if Wuxia men knew that Xiao Yuhua died there, they would not investigate how the other party died. Unless Chen Daoxian did a dirty job when he beheaded the opponent and was seen by other monks. But Chen Daoxian has come over so many years, not to mention how ruthless, at least he will deal with one or two monks who are not as strong as himself, and there will be no problems at all. Where's the Xianyang sect? Didn't they say that they wanted to act as an inner responder and deliver news for us? Humph. Zhuanyangzong is a sloppy sect, saying that it is delivering news for us, but in fact it was only passed on to us when the Qingwei Taoist army invaded the sphere of influence of the Qianji Temple. Moreover, he still used the tone of surrender, for fear of being discovered by the Qingwei Taoist faction to have something to do with us. Hear this. Chen Daoxuan's eyelids jumped slightly, and then he shook his head. Ignore it for now, Xue. I have something to explain to you. My husband ordered it. Concubine Chen Xuefu bowed her head, raised her head and said sternly, I'm going to go out and buy Taoist soldiers to defend against the Qingwei Taoist faction. I don't know how long it will take to come back from this trip, but I will definitely come back as soon as possible. He gently supported Fei Chengshi's shoulder. While I'm not at home, I'll leave everything here to you. Remember, don't be impulsive. Even if the 4 major sects ask you for help, you don't need to pay attention. As long as you keep yourself, the final victory will definitely belong to us. Fei Chenxue nodded heavily. The Qingwei Taoist faction now has 3 Daijins in charge, and the attack on the Qianji temple must be like a broken bamboo. Even if this battle dragged on a little longer, a month would be enough for the Qingwei Taoist faction to capture the entire territory of the Qianji temple. The 4 major sects add up, that is, for months no Xianyangzong can't be counted, and only 3 months. In other words, 3 months from now, the Chun family and Qianyuan Jianzong will likely face the Qingwei Taoist faction with 3 Yuanshan Taoists. Chun Daoxian finished explaining. He didn't even care about explaining Chun Fusheng. He flew directly to the center of the teleportation array, and said to the Tianyinzong cultivator who was playing with the teleportation array, "I'm going to the capital of Su Kingdom in Zhongzhou." "Yes, Your Majesty." A Tianyinzong Zifu cultivator handed over his hands, and was about to activate the formation for Chun Daoxian. Just as the teleportation patterns flickered, Chun Daoxian remembered something, and quickly took off the bronze bracelet on his hand, performed the imperial object technique, and made it fly towards the concubine Chenxue. After taking the bronze bracelet, only one sentence echoed in Fei Chengshi's ears. "If you can't go wrong, run." Fei Chenxue just wanted to answer, but found that the teleportation array shone with a burst of light. The next moment, Chun Daoxuan's figure had disappeared. Looking at the empty teleportation formation, Fei Chenxue smiled and said to herself, "Run? This is my home, where should I run?" Hangzhou, the capital of Su State. After less than a year, Chun Daoxian came back here again. Only this time he was carrying huge sums of money. Nearly 15 million drops of the power of creation gave Chun Daoxian unprecedented confidence. At the beginning, he drooled when he saw the treasures in Chuanbao Pavilion, but the treasures he couldn't afford to buy would be all his in the near future. Of course, Chun Daoxian has not forgotten what is most important to him at this moment. Not to buy treasures but to buy Dao soldiers to defend against powerful enemies. If there was no threat from the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua, Chun Daoxian would definitely use this huge sum to improve his own strength. But now the speed of increasing strength is too slow. Even if he uses Tianhua Yulu to raise his soul to the threshold that can break through the primordial spirit stage, does he still have a physical body that he has not passed? The indestructible real body that Chun Daoxian cultivated was the real body of Zhu Rong. Although this kind of real power is strong, the consumption of resources and energy is also very amazing. Over the years, Chun Daoxian has used the fire of the devil to refine the body refining resources, but the fire of the devil is still stuck on the edge of transformation and cannot move. Chun Daoxian couldn't help but wonder, can body refining resources really help the transformation of demon god's fire? If the fire of the devil can't transform, doesn't it mean that his Zhu Rong real body will never succeed in cultivation? Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian became inexplicably irritable. Unsuccessful cultivation, coupled with the presence of strong enemies, made Chun Daoxuan's Dao heart unable to resist waves. Forget it, no matter what. Let's solve the immediate crisis first. Shaking his head, Chun Daoxian summoned an escape shuttle and flew towards the location of the Chuanbao Pavilion. Soon, Chuanbao Pavilion has arrived. After getting off the escape shuttle, Chun Daoxian walked into the Chuanbao Pavilion. Perhaps Chun Daoxian was an old customer. The first time he set foot in the Chuanbao Pavilion, the fairy Nishang who had received him came to him. Chun Daoxian, who knew the identity of fairy Nishang, was not surprised by her arrival. "Fellow Taoist, we meet again." Chun Daoxian bowed his hands. Fairy Nishang blessed her with a salute. "Young Daoyuchan is polite." After a pause she continued, "I don't know what Daoyuchan came to buy this time?" "Dao soldier." Chun Daoxian said bluntly. There is also information about the Situ family. Compared with Xiao Yuhua, the direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen, Chun Daoxian was more worried about the power of the Situ family. As one of the few vassals of Wuji Xianmen, the Situ family is very powerful. Chun Daoxian didn't know how many Yuanshan Daijins the Situ family had, but he knew that when the Situ family's ancestor showed his strength in Liangjiyuan for the last time, He was already a world-level 5th layer Daojun. This is where Chen Daoxian feels the most pressure. The Daojun of the 5th layer of the world is far from being able to compete with him now. Even if he breaks through to the primordial spirit stage now, it will be of no use. Now that he has broken through to the Yuanshan stage, he is only a 2nd-level Taoist of the world realm. Even if he is extremely talented, he can raise the Dao realm to the 3rd layer of the world realm in one fell swoop when he breaks through the Yuanshan stage. That is just Xiao Yua's strength level, and he is still far from the 5th level Daojun of the world realm. When Fairy Nishang heard Chen Daoxuan's request, she still kept an indifferent smile on her face, and said, "Of course, the intelligence of the Situ family is worth 500,000 points of fortune. As for Taoist soldiers, Chen Taoist does not know what Taoist soldiers to buy? 5,000. Chen Daoxian was shocked. It's not that he can't afford the power of creation, but he is shocked by the strength of the Situ family. Originally, he wanted to come, even if the Situ family had a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world, it would not be so strong. Just one piece of information is worth 500,000 points of fortune, enough for him to buy a brand new Taoist team. Okay, I want this information." Chen Daoxian nodded. "As for the Taoist soldiers, do you have a Creation Realm Taoist soldiers here?" Creation Realm Dao soldier? Fairy Nishang stopped for a moment. Daochuan means 6-star Taoist soldiers? Right. I'm sorry, I really don't have such treasures for sale in my Chuanbao pavilion. The powerhouses in the creation realm are all beings who can create things out of thin air and create life. The strength of Taoist soldiers has reached this level, and it is also one of the most powerful. Which force in the 2 worlds can sell such a strong man at will? These words, the stunned Chen Daoxian was speechless. Yes, Taoist soldiers are also lives. They are definitely different from puppets. They have souls, emotions, and wisdom. Even if there is a Taoist soldier whose strength reaches the realm of creation, how can he be restrained only by the formation inscribed before the enlightenment? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian simply stopped talking about the 6-star Taoist soldier. Then what is the highest number of Taoist soldiers that your Chuanbao pavilion can sell? 5 stars. Fairy Nishang said with a smile. "Hey, I bought it." This time Fairy Nishang was frightened by Chen Daoxuan's amazing aura, and hesitantly said, "Fellow Taoist Chen, the price of this 5-star Taoist soldier is extraordinary. How many? 100 million power of creation, or 100,000 spirituality?" Chen Daoxian was so choked that he couldn't say a word. After a long while, he rolled his throat and said, "I take the liberty to ask, what is the price of the pure Yang immortal artifact sold by your pavilion?" Although the pure Yang immortal artifact is an immortal artifact, in essence, it is only a higher-level magical artifact, and there are huge differences between the pure Yang immortal artifacts, so the prices are not the same. But in my Chuanbao pavilion, the cheapest pure Yang immortal artifact requires 10 million points of good fortune. Call. Chen Daoxian took a deep breath. The price of a pure Yang immortal artifact is actually less than that of a 5-star Taoist soldier, which Chen Daoxian never expected. The price of a 1-star Taoist soldier is not expensive, with less than 100,000 fortune-telling powers. As for the 5-star Taoist soldiers, the price has skyrocketed by 1,000 times. But thinking of the strength gap between the two, Chen Daoxian felt that the price was quite conscientious. Speaking of which, the 6th-order magic weapon and even the 7th-order magic weapon are of the younger brother level compared with the Taoist soldiers. Dao soldiers are the things that the real big dogs play. This thing does not have enough background, I dare not touch it. There are so many sects in the northwestern border of Xianyun continent, and none of them have Dao soldiers in command. It can be seen that this is not something that ordinary sects can afford. If Chen Daoxian hadn't mastered the method of mass-producing Qingmu Ding, he would not have been so inflated to ask the price of the 5-star Taoist soldiers. Seeing the embarrassment on Chen Daoxuan's face, Fairy Nishang didn't make fun of it. In fact, Chen Daoxian was able to accept the sale of 500,000 points of good fortune, and Fairy Nishang had completely raised Chen Daoxuan's status to the VIP level in her heart. For example, Xiao Yuhua of Wuji Xianmen, his status is high enough, but let alone asking him to use 500,000 drops of the power of good fortune, now it is enough to ask him to use 100,000 drops of the power of good fortune. It can be seen that Chen Daoxuan's business of 500,000 drops of the power of creation in one bite has had a great impact on Fairy Nishang. Now, she is more and more convinced that Chen Daoxian is the core disciple of the top force, and he is also the most favored bloodline of Heavenly Venerate. Otherwise, it really doesn't make sense. A cultivator whose strength is only at the nascent soul stage can come up with this huge sum of money. Of course, she wouldn't have any crooked thoughts. Chuanbao Pavilion asked Taoist soldiers to sell it to prevent the human race monks from handling large-scale transactions, which would be malicious to customers and destroy the signboard of Chuanbao Pavilion. When Dao soldiers come to sell, there is no such concern. As a kind of puppet life, Dao soldiers do not have the extraterritorial greed. Compared with the human race monks, their minds are very pure. Chapter 454. Half an hour. Chen Daoxian nodded slowly and said then, "How about the price of your 4-star Taoist soldiers?" 1,000,001. Fairy Nishang held up a jade finger. Heard. Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. The price was 10 times lower than the invisible Taoist soldiers, but it was similar to what he expected. However, in the final analysis, the 4-star Taoist soldiers are still too expensive. The power of creation brought by Chen Daoxian is only enough to buy a 4-star Taoist soldier, although the strength of the 4-star Taoist soldier is enough to solve the urgent needs of Qianyuan sword sect. But what if the 3 Yuanshan Daijins of the Qingwei Dao faction divided their forces to attack? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian was more inclined to buy 3-star Taoist soldiers, or a 2-star Taoist team. Compared with the 1-star Taoist team, the strength of the 2-star Taoist team is no less than that of the ordinary 3-star Taoist team. But Chen Daoxian didn't think it was safe, because he didn't know the strength of the 3 World Realm 3rd-level Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua. If they are of average level in the same rank, it is not a cause for concern. A 2-star Taoist squad or even a 1-star Taoist squad might be able to shock them. If it is an invincible powerhouse of the same rank, then the mere 2-star Taoist squad is not enough. In order to be foolproof, Chen Daoxian decisively chose to buy 3-star Taoist soldiers, and it was a complete Taoist team. Fellow Daoist Chan wants to buy a whole 3-star Taoist team? Fairy Nishang said in surprise. Yes, what is the price? The price of a 3-star Taoist soldier is about 1 million fortune power, but for a complete Taoist team, the price will not overflow. I am afraid that 5 million drops of fortune power will be needed. 5 million drops of the power of creation, by 4 3-star Taoist soldiers. This price is not cheap. But to Chen Daoxian it was nothing because the power of creation he brought this time was nearly 15 million drops. He can almost buy 3 of such a Taoist team. Okay. I want it, I want 2. Chen Daoxian raised 2 fingers. Hearing this, Fairy Nishang was short of breath, and she quickly said, "Fellow Daoist Chen, wait a moment, I want to report to the supervisor. This transaction is too big, and it has exceeded my authority." Saying that, he also bowed apologetically to Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian stretched out his hand and made a gesture of please. Next moment, Fairy Nishang drove the fairy cloud and left the hall. Soon, a figure appeared outside the gate of the main hall in an instant, and walked slowly into the hall. "Friend Chen." Before anyone arrived, the voice first entered Chen Daoxian's ears. Chen Daoxian heard the sound and looked. A young monk with a handsome face, a bun on his head, and a loose robe slowly walked towards him. Pin Dao Yun Shuzi is the person in charge here. Obviously this monk named Yun Shuzi was standing in front of him, but he couldn't feel any breath, as if the monk in front of him didn't exist at all. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a chill behind his back. The cultivation of this man is simply unfathomable. With Chen Daoxian's Dao realm, he couldn't actually detect the truth of the other side. Of course, he didn't release his divine sense to detect each other, and rashly released his divine sense to detect others, which was an extreme provocative behavior. Chen Daoxian naturally wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Junior has seen Senior Yun Shuzi. Chen Daoxian respectfully bowed his hands to the other party. Fellow Daoist Chen, don't be polite. Yun Shuzi waved his hand and said with a smile, I just heard Shaoan say, do you want to buy it? Senior, this. Chen Daoxian was stunned, speechless. At this moment, he suddenly realized that this person is not a human race cultivator, but a Taoist soldier, and he is a Taoist soldier in the creation realm. Seeing Chen Daoxian's ugly face, Yun Shuzi smiled. Jokes, Chen Dao, you don't have to mind. Immediately afterwards, he changed the subject. Of course, if you have enough money, Dao Yuchan, I can also consider selling myself to you. Senior is joking. Chun Daoxian smiled awkwardly. Okay, no more nonsense, you want 2 3-star Taoist teams, right? That's right. When it comes to business, Chun Daoxian's face also became serious. The purchase of 3-star Taoist soldiers is related to the safety of Wan Xinghai, and he has to pay attention to it. You are in such a hurry to buy the 3-star Taoist soldiers, and then buy the information of the Situ family. Did you offend the Situ family? Hearing this, Chun Daoxian pursed his lips tightly and said nothing. Yun Shuzi laughed. You are talking too much, don't blame fellow Daoist Chun. Where is the senior? Chun Daoxian bowed his hands. However, if fellow Daoist Chun really has a need, you can come to my Chuanbao Pavilion to seek solutions for the next generation. After all, the next generation also wants to make some extra money. Hearing this, Chun Daoxian's heart moved slightly. Yup. Who said you have to buy a Creation Realm Taoist soldier? It's perfectly fine to ask the other party to scare the Situ family. The reason why the Situ family is arrogant and domineering is not because they have an ancestor who is a 5th-level Taoist in the world. Dao Jun on the 5th floor of the world, looking at the battlefield outside the 2 realms, he is a big boss. In the absence of the Creation Realm, the 5th layer of the World Realm is the pinnacle of power. The Dao Jun of the Creation Realm generally rarely takes action on the battlefield outside the 2 realms. Because once a cultivator reaches the Creation Realm, he can create spirituality out of thin air. With this method, he can continuously create a Taoist soldier comparable to the primordial spirit cultivator. This is a core strategic force. Compared with sending a Creation Realm cultivator to go to the battlefield outside the territory desperately, let him sit in the rear, and create more Taoist soldiers, it is obviously more cost-effective. Seeing Chun Daoxian's expression of doubt, the Yun Shuzi hurriedly said, Fellow Taoist Chun, don't look at me like that. Although I am a 6-star Taoist soldier, there are still some differences from your human race's Creation Realm cultivator. The biggest difference is that I can't create spirituality out of thin air like your human cultivator. Speaking of this, Yun Zuzi's tone was full of regret. Obviously, the inability to create spirituality out of thin air is a huge lack for him. Chun Daoxian felt that it might be related to the road, otherwise the other party would not have such a low tone. Ha ha ha, don't blame fellow Daoist Chun, I haven't chatted with anyone for a long time. There is a lot of nonsense. Senior Jin Yuliang said, the junior has benefited a lot. How can it be considered nonsense? Chun Daoxian quickly cupped his hands. You kid. Yun Shuzi pointed to Chun Daoxian, shook his head with a smile, but it's useless for you to flatter me. The price of the treasures in the Chuanbao Pavilion is all set by the pavilion owner himself, and even I have no right to change it. Then seniors always have the right to decide the price of asking seniors to sell, right? Having said that, Chun Daoxian carefully looked at the other party. Good boy, are you waiting for me here? Yun Shuzi laughed, that's okay, but then again the old guy from Citus family is not weak. I have to waste a lot of energy to deal with him. Your price is too low and I don't want to go. Senior, think how much is appropriate. Yun Shuzi stretched out a finger. Chun Daoxian moved in his heart and said, 1 million drops of the power of creation? Yun Shuzi shook his head. 10 million. What? Chun Daoxian almost jumped up in a hurry. 10 million drops of the power of good fortune. The Chun family is now using the power of the whole family, but they have only extracted 15 million drops of the power of good fortune. This is the result of the Chun family's accumulation of spirit stones, and a large number of greenwood cauldrons for many years. 10 million drops of the power of creation can buy a 4-star Taoist soldier. The 2 3-star Taoist teams he purchased were only 10 million drops of the power of creation. Also, the Nishang fairy named Shaowan said that a pure yang immortal artifact of the lowest rank is only 10 million drops of the power of creation. The price of this big shot is comparable to a pure yang fairy weapon. He just asked a transcending tribulation heavenly venerate to take action, and it wasn't that expensive, right? Chun Daoxian looked at Yun Shuzi and felt indignant in his heart. Dao Yuchan, don't look at me like that. Yun Shuzi said with a smile, do you think that the money you make from your next shot is more ruthless than Tianzuan? Chun Daoxian's face was blue, and he simply nodded. It seems that fellow Daoist Chun has never been to the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiuan. Why did the senior say this? Yun Shuzi said with a smile, If you have been to the battlefield outside the territory, you will find that those top-notch Yuanshan Daijins earn more money than most of the heavenly venerates. This, Chen Daoxian was completely confused. For a long time, the ability of monks to make money was proportional to their own strength. It was the first time that Chen Daoxian had heard that Du Jie Tianzhen's ability to make money was not as good as Yuanshan Daojun. But looking at Yun Zuzi's appearance, it didn't seem like he was lying. Moreover, the old guy from the Situ family is not weak, and your 10 million drops of the power of creation will never be in vain. Speaking of this, Yun Shuzi no longer persuaded him but talked about the Taoist soldier business. Okay, let's stop the digression. I brought you the 2 Taoist soldiers you want talking. With a wave of Yun Zuzi's hand, 2 3-star Taoist squads totaling 8 3-star Taoist soldiers suddenly appeared in front of Chen Daoxian as the space fluctuated. This is the master that you will protect in the future. Please say hello, heard. The 8 3-star Taoist soldiers bowed and saluted Chen Daoxian in unison. I'll wait to see the master. Don't be too polite. Chen Daoxian helped him and turned to look at Yun Shuzi. Junior still has treasures to buy, heard. Yun Shuzi nodded. Fellow Daoist Chen, let's talk. The capital of Su State. In front of a space teleportation array, Chen Daoxian came to the capital of Su Kingdom less than a day before he ended the journey, and was ready to rush back to Wangxinghai. He did not expect that this purchase would be so smooth. After all, the things he asked to buy were of a very high grade, and they were unheard of treasures in the northwest border. Originally, Chen Daoxian thought that no matter how powerful the Chuanbao Pavilion is, he must prepare for it. As a result, the other party didn't have any preparations at all, and paid Chen Daoxian the money and delivered the goods directly. This also gave Chen Daoxian a new understanding of the heritage of Chuanbao Pavilion. But thinking that the powerhouse in the sub-pavilion is the powerhouse of creation realm, Chen Daoxian was relieved. You must know that the Wuji Xianmen, known as the largest sect in the Phoenix Meteor realm, is only in the realm of creation. In this case, Yun Zuzi's strength has been able to compete with the strongest monk in Wuji Xianmen, which shows the profound heritage of Chuanbao Pavilion. Twin Lakes Island, Patriarch Immortal Mansion. In front of the pavilion of Linghu Lake, 2 fairies who play the roles of Tianxiang are sitting by the lake. These 2 are not other people, they are the 2 Taoist companions of Chen Daoxian. Perhaps the Chen family and Wan Xinghai are facing a great crisis. For a while, Luo Li couldn't care about the taste in her heart, and she worried about Wan Xinghai's future and destiny together with Fei Chanxue in front of her. The 3 Yuanshan Daijins are fatal threats to both the Chen family and the Qinyuan sword sect. If she hadn't understood the trump card in Chen Daoxuan's hand, Fei Chanxue would have been preparing to retreat for the sect and the Chen family at this moment. Sister concubine, you said that when Lang Chen went to Su country this time, would he be caught by Xiao Yuhua? After all, it is the site of Wuji Xianmen. Seeing Luo Li's fidgety appearance, Fei Chanxue comforted her. Don't worry, sister. The Wuji immortal sect is very powerful. After all, Xiao Yuhua is just a direct disciple of the Wuji immortal sect, and he can't influence the Wuji immortal sect. She paused. Besides, the place where Chen Lang is going is nominally the site of Wuji Xianmen. But as the hub of the 2 worlds, Wuji Xianmen can't cover the sky with only one hand, and my sister doesn't need to worry. That's fine, that's fine. As Luo Li spoke, the worried look on her pretty face was not uncommon at all. On the other hand, Fei Chanxue, although she was also very worried about Lang's safety in her heart, did not show any abnormality on her face. What are you whispering about? Just as she was about to continue comforting Luo Li, a familiar voice rang in their ears. Immediately after, the space fluctuated for a while, and Chen Daoxuan's figure suddenly appeared in front of the 2. Chen Lang. Husband. The 2 called out in unison. The only difference was that Luo Li rushed directly into Chen Daoxuan's arms, while Fei Chanxue was much more reserved and looked on with a blushing face. Chen Daoxian stretched out his arms and gave Fei Chanxue a gesturing glance. Immediately, Feiking's face turned even redder, but she still relied on Chen Daoxuan's arms obediently. For the first time he hugged his 2 Taoist companions left and right, and Chen Daoxian suddenly felt a sense of heroism in his heart. This time he not only has to completely eradicate the threat of the 3 Yuanshan Daijins, but also takes this opportunity to completely subdue the northwestern sects. A few people stay warm for a while. The calm Luo Li was the first to react, and immediately blushed and broke away from Chen Daoxuan's embrace. Seeing this, Fei Chenxue also let go of Chen Daoxian. It's just that compared to Luo Li's expression that she can't wait to find a crack in the ground, Fei Chenxue's expression is much calmer. Although Fei Chenxue was also very shy in her heart, her pretty face showed a calm look. Chen Lang, it seems that you have gained a lot this time. Chen Daoxian nodded to concubine Chenxue. It's true that the harvest is not small. I dare not say it against the Situ family, but dealing with the current situation is a piece of cake. Hear this. Fei Chenxue was completely relieved. She knows what a terrifying wealth Chen Daoxian holds in his hands. Although money does not represent strength in the world of immortal cultivation, when the wealth reaches a certain level, it can also burst into huge power. In particular, there is a power in the Fengyun world such as Chuanbeige which can do all kinds of business, and it can help Chen Daoxian to convert money into strength to the greatest extent. Fei Chenxue looked at Chen Daoxian with beautiful eyes. What are you going to do next? Chapter 455. Improve your strength and watch it change. Chen Daoxian said word by word. When Fei Chenxue heard this, she was shocked. She can understand that improving strength is a top priority for cultivators to improve their cultivation and strength at any time, especially in the face of the current invasion of foreign enemies. But watching the changes, it seems that Chen Daoxian is a little unfriendly. After all, a few days ago, they won Xinghai and the northwestern sects had just formed an offensive and defensive alliance. Although everyone did not make an oath of the Great Tao, it is not like Chen Daoxuan's style of breaking the contract in such a grand manner. Immediately, Fei Chenxue seemed to think of something, and tentatively said, Chen Lang, you want to take the northwestern sections? That's right. I want to take this opportunity of pressure from the outside world to integrate all the major sects in the northwest with my Wan Xinghai to form a larger immortal alliance. Hearing Chen Daoxuan's thought, Fei Chenxue's heart beat like thunder. Why did the various sects rebel against the Situ family? Not because they did not want to become a vassal of the Situ family, but they never thought that they would go to a Citus house and be targeted by Chen Daoxian again. In other words, even if they thought about it, they all thought that compared with the threat Chen Daoxian would bring to them in the future, the current threat to the Situ family was even greater. The northwestern sects plus Wan Xinghai will form a new immortal alliance. No matter in terms of territory or strength, they are all first-class forces, and they are still the strongest among first-class forces. After all, the 2 3-star Taoist teams that Chen Daoxian bought from the Chuanbao Pavilion at a high price were not vegetarians. Talking, Chen Daoxian took out a simple ink jade card and handed it to concubine Chenxue, saying, This is a Tibetan soldier card. There is a whole 3-star Taoist soldier team in it, and this one Tunhua Yulu, its effect is the same as Tai Shan Shui. All of them can enhance the cultivator's soul, which is a rare treasure to assist cultivators to break through the primordial spirit stage. And this. Chen Daoxian took one after another, and took out various treasures from the storage ring. Not only Fei Chenxue but also the Shang Yuandan suitable for Luo Li, Chen Daoxian bought a lot this time. There were only 3 Shang Yuandan last time, and he gave them all to Chen Fuxing. Chen Fuxing did not bear the heavy trust and broke through to the nascent soul period. It is a pity that Chen Fuxing is not like Chen Daoxian. Even if he breaks through to the nascent soul stage with the help of the power of the elixir, he still cannot keep up with the realm of the Tao. Even after breaking through to the nascent soul stage, it seems that the mana is vain and unstable, and it needs to be polished and improved to improve the realm of the Tao. In a short period of time, Chen Fuxing can no longer use this kind of method to promote the growth of seedlings. Otherwise, it might really shake his foundation. Although Chen Daoxian hoped that in addition to him, the Chen family would have someone else appear. But it can't be at the expense of Chen Fuxing's path. Otherwise, wouldn't Chen Fuxing become a tool like a Taoist soldier? Fei Chenxue took a piece of treasure handed over by Chen Daoxian, and the expression on her pretty face changed from shock at the beginning to gradually numbness. 15 million drops of the power of good fortune are too many, so much that one can buy a pure Yang fairy weapon in Chuanbao Pavilion. With this huge sum of money to buy cherished resources, you can naturally buy a lot. This is because Chen Daoxian put the bulk of this huge sum on the 2 3-star Taoist teams, otherwise, he would have bought more treasures. Fei Chenxue put the treasures handed over by Chen Daoxian into the storage ring one by one, and then thought of something, said, By the way, I also have something for you. What? Chen Daoxian asked curiously. It is this. Saying that, Fei Chen brought a golden horn-style magic weapon from the snow. This is. Chen Daoxian frowned. This is the Sun Mother Sound Transmission Snail. You can think of it as a super long-distance communication jade talisman, but compared with the ordinary communication jade talisman, the distance it transmits information is thousands of times farther. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian's eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, there is such a good thing? As a traveler, Chen Daoxian of course knows what communication and transportation mean to a force. The emergence of the teleportation array can clench the scattered forces into fists and twist them into a force. And long-distance real-time communication allows the power controller to know the information of every corner of the power under his command without leaving home. It can be said that both of them are very important to a power. When Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Daomen fought against each other, Chen Daoxian didn't have this kind of treasure in his hands, only the most common communication jade talisman. Therefore, he could not know the news that Uncle 13 was kidnapped by the ancestors of the Jiang family. The same is true. Now Qingwei Daoist Party uses troops in Qianji Hall, Spirit Insect Valley and Tianyangzong. With this treasure, Chen Daoxian and the others will be able to grasp the battle situation of the Northwest sects in real time. This is very important for Chen Daoxian's next plan. Although Chen Daoxian wanted to use the hands of the Situ family to completely subdue the northwestern sects, the premise was that the pressure of the Situ family should not be too great, and the northwestern sects would be leveled directly. If so, wouldn't all his plans become a joke? Chen Daoxian took the Sun Mother Sound Transmission Snail, looked at it carefully, and said, "Good baby. Hear this." A smile flashed across Fei Chen's Wuxia's face. This treasure was a special magic weapon that she spent a lot of time buying from the outside world. Not to mention how high its rank is, but its strategic value is by no means inferior to that of ordinary one-star Dao soldiers. The Sun and Sun Sound Transmission Snail has 1 female snail and 7 child snails. The one in your hand, Chun Lang, is the female snail. As she said that, Fei Chenxue turned her palm over, and in her palm 3 snails floated quietly. Why 3? Chen Daoxian was stunned for a moment. There should be 4 left snails in Linggu Valley, Qianji Temple and Tianyangzong. There is one more, I gave it to Xianyang sect. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded. Regardless of whether Xianyang sect is a scumbag, at least on the surface, the other party is still willing to cooperate with Chen Daoxian and the others. Therefore, putting a sound transmission snail on them is not useless at all. After all, Wanxinghai is still a long way from the sects in the northwest of Xianyun continent. If Xianyangzong can immediately spread the news, it will have a very important reference value for the countermeasures Chen Daoxian will take next. Okay, I know you are keeping an eye on the movement of the Qingwei Dao faction and the Qianji Temple battle. I will go to retreat first. Do not worry, concubine Chenxue said softly. On the side, Luoli saw that Chen Daoxian was going to retreat to improve his strength as soon as he came back, so he opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say a word. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian sat on the futon, looking at the various treasures in front of him, and was fascinated for a while. These treasures he didn't dare to think about in the past, but now they are like ordinary spiritual stones, placed in front of him. This time Chen Daoxian spent 10 million drops of fortune power in addition to purchasing 2 3-star Taoist soldiers, and the remaining nearly 5 million drops of fortune power were all used to buy various treasures in spirituality to enhance his strength. Among them, only purchasing spirituality, he spent 2 million drops of the power of creation. Chen Daoxian used the remaining 3 million drops of the power of creation to buy all kinds of treasures to enhance his strength. Tianhua Yulu Xinyuandan. And this, the Golden Crow fragment. In the secret room, various treasures flowed brilliantly. Among them, the most dazzling piece is this small Golden Crow fragment. Chen Daoxian did not expect that he could really buy Golden Crow fragments in Chuanbao Pavilion. He used to think that when he would free up his hands, he would definitely go to explore the remains of the true immortal in Liangjiyuan to find the traces of the Golden Crow fragments. After all, the Golden Crow fragment is directly related to the transformation of the Xianhuang realm, and it is related to his Dao realm, breaking through from the second layer of the world realm to the third layer of the world realm. During this period of time, Chan Daoxian was stuck in the Great Dao realm for the first time. This was unimaginable in the past. Because in the past, his Dao realm could rely on the Hongming Enlightenment Classic and the Star Sword Dao map to quickly improve. Until you encounter the levels from the second to the third layer of the world. Whether it was the Hongming Enlightenment Classic or the Star Sword Dao map, it didn't work anymore, so he was stuck until now. Because according to the practice experience, the second layer of the world realm to the third layer of the world realm is not a change in the laws of the Great Dao, but the slow transformation of the world, or in other words, the change of the sun star in the Xianhuang realm from virtual to real. This kind of change either relies on water to grind kung fu, and a little bit turns the illusory sun star in the world into a real sun star. The second method is a tricky method, which is to directly refine a golden crow fragment. In this way, the sun star of the Xianhuang realm becomes directly. When a world has a sun star, it will naturally have vitality. At this point, the monk can enter the realm of the third layer of the world. Why is there a huge gap between the third layer of the world and the first and second layers of the world? It is because after entering the third floor of the world, you can increase the world scope by swallowing a lot of the power of creation. As we all know, the bigger the world a monk opens up, the stronger the world power that can be borrowed, and the stronger the power naturally. Chen Daoxuan's Dao realm is the second floor of the world realm. But in fact, his Xianhuang realm is not large, and even compared with the ordinary second-level real monarch of the world, his Xianhuang realm is far inferior. The reason for this is that when Chen Daoxian broke through to the second floor of the world realm, his cultivation only reached the golden core stage. Therefore, sometimes the Dao realm leads the cultivation base too much, which is not necessarily a good thing. It can only show that the cultivator has great potential, but it does not mean that the cultivator gains more benefits. A normal nascent soul cultivator breaks through to the world realm, and its world scope is much larger than that of Chen Daoxian. Just like Fei Chengshu's world, Chen Daoxian had been to the other party's world, although the world opened up by Fei Chenshua was also barren. But its scope is much larger than Chen Daoxuan's Xianhuang realm, with a radius of tens of thousands of miles. If Chen Daoxuan's Xianhuang realm wants to catch up, he can only break through the third layer of the world realm and devour a large amount of the power of creation. He is not lacking in the power of creation. The only thing he has to do now is to break through the third layer of the world. Think of this. Chen Daoxian no longer hesitated, put away other treasures, and set his eyes on this dazzling golden fragment. Although the golden crow fragment was shining brightly, Chen Daoxian saw a layer of bubble-like space film on its surface. He knew that this layer of space film was the space restriction imposed by Chuanbao Pavilion. If not, even if the golden crow shards in front of them are more than 1/1,000,000th of the original version, the heat released by them may not only melt the entire Shuanghu Island, but also the waters of thousands of miles around will be evaporated. It's inconvenient here. I'd better go to Xianhuang realm to talk about it. Say it. Without saying a word, Chen Daoxian directly tore open the black hole of the void, passed through the black hole, and stepped into the Xianhuang realm. Although the Xianhuang realm was opened up by Chen Daoxian for some time. But this world is barren, with neither vitality nor spiritual energy, and Chen Daoxian rarely comes here. Even if you want to build it, you have to wait until the third floor of the world, after the Xianhuang realm has given birth to life. Divine consciousness unscrupulously unfolded, and glanced at the envoy of the demon court who was suppressed at the very center of the Xianhuang realm. Chen Daoxian ignored the other party. I just found a spot and sat cross-legged in the air. Immediately afterwards, he took out the golden crow fragment. The dazzling light penetrated through the space membrane and pierced Chen Daoxuan's eyes. He narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling that the illusory sun above his head was obscured by the golden crow fragments. The golden crow shards in the Chuanbao Pavilion have different prices according to the size of the shards. The golden crow fragment in Chen Daoxuan's hands is a relatively small piece at a price of 1.15 million drops of the power of creation. But refining it and lighting up the Xianhuang realm is perfect. Otherwise, the fragments of the golden crow are too large, and Chen Daoxian still doesn't know how to refine them. After all, his cultivation is too low, and he is not sure whether he can refine the golden crow fragments. So far, the only one who can reach the third floor of the world realm in the nascent soul stage is the one who guards the Liangjiyuan teleportation array in the capital of Su Kingdom. Apart from him, Chen Daoxian has never seen a second person who can refine the golden crow fragments in the nascent soul stage. Even Chen Daoxian is not sure whether he can refine the golden crow fragments in the nascent soul stage. If not, he can only break through the primordial spirit stage first, and then consider refining the golden crow fragments. In fact, it doesn't matter whether it is the Yuanying stage refining the golden crow fragments or the Yuanshan stage refining the golden crow fragments, Chen Daoxian doesn't care. He has cultivated to today's realm. Where does he care about being invincible at the same level? The realm of the same level of the road is extremely high, and he is a person with a talent against the sky. What Chen Daoxian cares about is the improvement of strength, the deep foundation and the stable foundation. Only in this way can we move forward steadily on the difficult and bumpy road of seeking the way. Breaking through to the primordial spirit stage, I have no clue for the time being. I don't know how long I will be stuck with Zhu Rong's real body. Chen Daoxian shook his head. Comparatively speaking, it is more reliable to break through the third layer of the world, although Chen Daoxian does not care about false names. But as the owner of the plug-in Hongming Enlightenment of Taoism, Chen Daoxian never thought that he would be weaker than the monks of the same level. In short, if others can do it, he can do it too. Calm your mind. Chen Daoxian stretched out his index finger and tapped on the space film of the golden crow fragment. As the space film was shattered by Chen Daoxian like an eggshell, 1,000 times, 10,000 times more dazzling light was released from the small golden crow fragments. What followed was terrifying heat. Lying X. Rarely, Chen Daoxian scolded the quintessence of his previous life. Qianyuan Jianzong has never had a cultivator refining the golden crow fragments, and Yun Shuzi did not specifically warn him when he sold the golden crow fragments to him. Chen Daoxian thought there was no danger in refining the golden crow fragments. But now, Chen Daoxian immediately wrapped his life spirit armor on his body. Not only that, he also directly called out the 3-star Taoist team to form a formation to resist the terrifying heat. Sure enough, as soon as the Samsung Taoist team made a move, the heat of the golden crow fragment was immediately isolated from the formation deployed by the Taoist team. But the next moment, Chen Daoxian discovered that the barren land of the Xianhuang realm had actually begun to gradually melt. If it goes on like this, won't the Xianhuang realm be burned through by this golden crow fragment? Chapter 456. Xianhuang World. In midair, the golden light group is extremely dazzling. In the vagueness, there is also a bird-shaped phantom that appears and disappears. Chen Daoxian recognized it at a glance. This phantom is the fallen golden crow. On the ground, the wild sand gradually melted, and the terrain continued to decrease. Chen Daoxian could feel that the entire Xianhuang world was crumbling. Careless, Chen Daoxian was annoyed. If the Xianhuang realm is destroyed, his path will be over. Just when he was anxious, the black flame pattern on his chest suddenly lit up, and then a pure black fire of the devil flew out from his chest. Not only that, but the black fire of the devil actually revealed a hint of desire to Chen Daoxian. You mean you want to eat it? Chen Daoxian pointed at the golden crow shards raging in the air. Said. This time, the desire of demon god's fire was even heavier. Compared with ordinary fire, spiritual fire has some of the most basic spiritual wisdom. As a kind of spiritual fire, his demon god's fire is no exception. But except this time, demon god's fire never revealed any emotion to Chen Daoxian, the master. But his golden crow shards are used to light up the Xianhuang realm and reproduce the vitality of the Xianhuang realm, not to be swallowed by the fire of the devil. But seeing the Xianhuang realm shaking more and more, Chen Daoxian couldn't care about refining the golden crow fragments. If you want to eat, let's eat it for you. Chen Daoxian waved his hand. As long as the current predicament can be resolved, the loss of a golden crow fragment is nothing at all. Although the golden crow fragment is extremely precious, it also depends on who you compare it to. With Chen Daoxian's financial resources, the golden crow shard's worth a mere 1.5 million drops of the power of creation he still does not care about, that is, the work of the Qingmuding factory for a while. The fire of the demon god got the approval of Chen Daoxian, and roared towards the golden crow fragment with joy. In the sky a black light flashed. Immediately afterwards the black light completely wrapped the golden crow shards. Soon, the rays of light from the golden crow fragments were all covered by the fire of the demon god. Not only that, But the fire of the devil is like a gangrene with bones, bit by bit eroding the golden crow shards. Hold head high dash, a high-pitched bird chirping sounded, and the surrounding space was distorted. See, Chen Daoxian mobilized the power of the entire Xianhuang world to repair the constantly broken space. This moment, the fighting fire of the devil and the golden crow shards turned the Xianhuang realm upside down, and Chen Daoxian wiped his for these too. But fortunately, it didn't take long for him to wipe his behind him, because Chen Daoxian could feel that the birdsong was gradually becoming weaker. The fire of demon god seems to feel that the golden crow fragment is a rootless source. Unlike it, it is not only supported by Chen Daoxian's mana, but also blessed by the world power of the entire world of Zuan Huangji. As the two forces overlapped, the power of the demon god's fire became stronger and stronger. The stalemate was soon broken. Gradually, the high-pitched bird chirping subsided. Seeing this scene, Chen Daoxian's eyes lit up, and he became more energetic. He knew that the golden crow fragment could not escape the palm of demon god's fire. But even so, the entire swallowing process continued for 3 full days. 3 days later, with a hoarse chirping, the birdsong completely disappeared. It's done! Chen Daoxian immediately collapsed. A dignified true monarch nascent soul was completely drained of mana by a piece of golden crow. Not only that, but the entire Xianhuang realm has also become crumbling. Chen Daoxian knew that this was because the power of the world was too much and the origin of the world was hurt. Whoosh! The black light rushed towards Chen Daoxian at a speed that was dozens of times faster than before. Its speed was so fast that even Chen Daoxian's consciousness couldn't react, which made him feel a chill in his heart. Brush! The black fire of the devil was quietly suspended in front of Chen Daoxian. Seeing the fire of the devil that he cultivated with his own hands, Chen Daoxian relaxed his expression. The root of the fire of the devil is in him. No matter what, the other party will not hurt his master. This moment, Chen Daoxian finally breathed, and slowly looked at the pure black flame in front of him. With careful observation, Chen Daoxian finally found something different. This is Zile Tianhua? Chen Daoxian widened his eyes and exclaimed, Zile Tianhua, also known as Jiehua. The Jiehua here has nothing to do with Jindan Thunder Tribulation, but the tribulation fire of Tianzuan Thunder Tribulation. After a cultivator reaches the calamity transcending stage, he will experience a total of 9 thunder tribulations before and after. After all the 9 thunder tribulations are over, the cultivator can achieve the status of a true immortal and ascend to the upper realm. But these 9 thunder tribulations were more dangerous each time. In the ancient years, due to the complete rules of the Phoenix meteor world, it was able to withstand the power of many thunder tribulations for the monks, so the Mahayana true immortals were not uncommon. But as the real demon world devoured the Phoenix meteor world, the world consciousness of the Phoenix meteor world was completely weakened. Thinking of resisting the power of thunder tribulation on behalf of the tribulation cultivator, it seems a little powerless. This is also the reason why all the top forces are not stationed inside the Phoenix meteor realm. Because the Phoenix meteor realm has reached the most critical juncture, Dujie Tianzuan stays in the Phoenix meteor realm again. Once thunder tribulation is attracted, it will cause further damage to the Phoenix meteor realm. Although a lightning calamity did not cause much damage to the Phoenix meteor realm, there were many tribulation cultivators in the Phoenix meteor realm. Everyone is staying here, and the Phoenix meteor realm can't bear the damage caused by these thunder tribulations. It will only speed up the world consciousness of the Phoenix meteor realm into chaos. At that time, the real demon world will swallow up the Phoenix meteor world, but it will be much faster. Therefore, there is no transcendence heavenly venerate in the Phoenix meteor realm. It's not that the tribulation cultivator doesn't want to stay here, it's that he can't stay here for the safety of Fengyun realm. When Chen Daoxian knew about this for the first time, he still had great admiration for the tribulation monks in Fengyun realm. At least, compared with the sects that were fighting each other in the Phoenix meteor realm, these transcending tribulation heavenly venerates who stood at the top of the Phoenix meteor realm had eyes and spirit that a low-level cultivator couldn't match. Certainly, in the absence of heavenly venerate Dujie, it can be said that there are no tigers in the mountains, and the monkeys are called kings. Countless sect forces and clan forces are fighting against each other, and countless mortals and ordinary loose cultivators have suffered from war and chaos, which can be said to be hard for the people. Just like this time, in order to control the various sects in the northwest, the Situ family knew that Tianzuan City had imposed a ban, but they still dared to secretly send their clansmen here to invade the major sections. On the one hand, the people of the Situ family are daring, but on the other hand, these top forces in the Fengyun world have very limited constraints on the various sects of the Fengyun world. Chen Daoxian gently held the pure black demon fire, looking at the center of the pure black demon fire, that little lavender and flashing thunder. Immediately excited, although the fire of the devil has not completely transformed into the purple thunder fire. But Chen Daoxian was sure that once he used the fire of the devil, even the third-level Taoist in the world would be burned to ashes in an instant. Before he knew it, the spirit fire secret technique obtained by cultivating Zhu Rong's true body actually became his first method of killing. I don't know if you can threaten the heavenly venerate transcendence when you completely transform into Zile Tianhua, Chen Daoxian muttered. He also didn't see the scene of transcending heaven-smiting heavenly venerate, and he didn't know how big the threat from Lei Tianhua was to heaven-smiting heavenly venerate. Certainly, he didn't know whether Zile Tianhua could kill Dujie Tianzuan, but it was absolutely no problem to deal with the fifth-level real monarch of the general world. The only thing Chen Daoxian needs to consider is that the use of Zile Tianhua is completely different from the previous demon god's fire. Chen Daoxian already knew that in order for Zile Tianhua to burst into full power, his cultivation base must at least be upgraded to the primordial spirit stage. Not only that, the Xianhuang realm must also continue to expand. In this way, his mana and the power of the world of the Xianhuang realm are combined into one, and the power of the purple thunder skyfire can be completely erupted. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Zile Tianhua is, it will only be subdued and cleaned up by other cultivators like fragments of the golden crow. He glanced at Xianhuang Jia, which was even more appalling. Chen Daoxian shook his head, his figure flashed, and disappeared in the Xianhuang realm. Next moment, when his figure reappeared, he was already in the closed room where he had previously retreated. Strictly speaking, it only took him about 3 days to retreat this time. In all, this time could not be called a retreat, because no matter which nascent soul cultivator, once he is in seclusion, it will be several years or even decades. For 3 days, nascent soul cultivator can only be called rest. But these 3 days have completely transformed his demon god's fire, although this transformation has not been completely successful. However, compared with before, Chen Daoxian's fire of the devil is already fundamentally different. Therefore, Chen Daoxian is now considering whether he can break through the Yuanshan stage first, and then consider the third layer of the world. After all, with the transformation of demon god's fire, the inextinguishable real body level that stood in front of him has completely disappeared. Now he only needs to follow the steps and use the transformed demon fire to refine the black crystal, and then he can completely condense the flesh into the real body of Zhu Rong. At that time, his strength will not only be able to reach a higher level, but also have the possibility of impacting the primordial spirit stage. Because of the shortcoming of the physical body, he is short of the shortcoming of the lack of spirit and soul. For the transformation of the soul, Chen Daoxian has purchased a large amount of Tianhua Yulu in the Chuanbao Pavilion, which is enough for him to raise the soul to the threshold of breaking through the Yuanshan stage. Refining the black crystal, condensing the indestructible real body, taking Tianhua Yulu, and hitting the primordial spirit stage. Soon Chen Daoxian replanned his cultivation path. As for the third floor of the world, he put it aside instead. Just as Chen Daoxian was about to break through the primordial spirit stage, the sound transmission conch in his storage ring rang. Chen Daoxian picked up the sound transmission nut, and his face gradually sank when he heard the sound coming from inside. Qianyuan Sword Sect. Countless monks gather here. Among them, the two standing in the lead were Chen Daoxian and Fei Chunxue, who had become Taoist companions. Looking at the more and more disciples of the Qianyuan Sword Sect, and the monks of the various immortal clans in Wangxinghai, Chen Daoxian's face was extremely heavy and he said, "In just 3 days, the Qianji temple was destroyed?" Concubine Chengshi's pretty face tensed. The enemy is stronger than we thought, and they don't seem to plan to delay, but want to make a quick decision. Even the Yuanshan Daojun personally took action. It's really blatant. Originally, Chen Daoxian also felt that the 3 Yuanshan Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua would take into account the prohibition of Tianzuan City and would only shoot secretly, not dare to do it openly. But it turned out that the monk from the Situ family and the Taoists sent by Xiao Yuhua were more courageous than Chen Daoxian imagined, dared to go directly to the field. As a result, the Qianji temple naturally couldn't withstand the attack of the 3 Yuanshan Daojun, and the sect was broken like a broken bamboo, which is a reasonable thing. Hey, no one would have thought that the Qingwei Taoist faction would actually bypass the major immortal cities in the Qianji temple and head towards the gate of the Qianji temple. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was even more angry. Where's Xianyang sect? Haven't they heard any news? Chen Daoxian was so angry because the Qianji temple was destroyed, and he had to abide by his promise to destroy the Situ family and Wuji Xianmen. Destroying the Situ family is nothing. Chen Daoxian was confident that it would not be long before he could do this. But Wuji Immortal sect is different. As the first force in Phoenix Meteor Realm, Wuji Immortal sect is not only powerful in itself, but also has extraordinary significance for the top forces in Liangjiyuan. In other words, the top forces of Liangjiyuan need to rely on Wuji Xianmen to maintain their influence on Fengyun realm. Of course, there must be more than just Wuji Xianmen selected by these top forces, but Wuji Xianmen is undoubtedly the one with the strongest strength and influence. If Chen Daoxian wants to destroy Wuji Xianmen in the future, in addition to facing the powerful Wuji Xianmen itself, he may also face the forces behind Wuji Xianmen. Chen Daoxian can hardly imagine how powerful this force is to be the backer of Wuji Xianmen. This is also the reason why Fei Chenxue firmly disagreed with his vow of the Great Tao before. Fei Chenxue could feel Chen Daoxian's anger. She shook her head gently. Zhuaniangzong did not send us any news. In fact, the Qingwei Taoist army rushed to the Qianji temple, and it took more than 2 days on the way. They broke through the gate of the Thousand Machines Hall, and they didn't even get there for a day. One day. No wonder we received the news soon. And before we had time to gather our people, the Hall of Thousand Machines was destroyed. Xianyangzong did not pass the news to Chen Daoxian and the others to a certain extent. It has already indicated that the other party has completely fallen to the Qingwei Taoism, or that it has completely fallen to the Situ family. Xian, Yang, Zong. Chen Daoxian's eyes were gloomy. Chen Lang, what should we do now? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian glanced at the army of monks that was still gathering, shook his head and said, I can't wait any longer. I'm going to bring some of them to support first, and you will organize the army here for backup. Hearing that Chen Daoxian was going to leave himself and go alone, Fei Chenxue was reluctant and shook her head. You can't leave me. Saying that, he glared at him. Chen Daoxian stroked her pretty face and said, Don't worry, it'll be fine. With that said, Chen Daoxian took out an ink-black Tibetan soldier jade card. Look, I still have a 3-star Taoist team in my hand. Fei Chenxue knew the strength of the Samsung Taoist team, so she felt relieved. After thinking for a while, she took out another Tibetan soldier jade card from the storage ring and said, This 3-star Taoist soldier team is also given to you. By the way, there is also this one. I will also give it to you. With that said, Fei Chenxue took off the bronze bracelet that Chen Daoxian had given him and handed it to Chen Daoxian. Chapter 457. Seeing that Fei Chenxue had even handed over the 1-star Taoist team he had given to the opponent for self-defense, Chen Daoxian took her into his arms. Don't worry, nothing will happen. A 3-star Taoist team is enough. He paused. Besides, we still have a space teleportation array and a Sun-Mother sound transmission. You and I can support each other at any time. The 3-star Taoist team and the 1-star Taoist team in Fei Chenxue's hands, he planned to give them to each other. The Qingwei Taoist faction seemed to be doing all they could to attack the northwestern sects, but no one could guarantee that they would send people to Wanxinghai to attack. After all, if the 3 Yuanshan Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua wanted to bypass the northwestern sects and attack the Qianyuan sword sect, there would be no problem. Chen Daoxian had to guard against this. Aside, Qin Zhan looked at Chen Daoxian and his senior sister hugging each other, and turned his head to one side unconsciously. A long time. Fei Chenxue only let go of Chen Daoxian. She raised her head. I will ask Qin Zhan to accompany you. Qin Zhan is more skilled in mobilizing the disciples of Qinyuan sword sect. I am also relieved to send him to fight for you. Cough cough, senior sister, your heart is too strong, Qin Zhan said with a bitter face. Alright, I'm really not familiar with the disciples of Qinyuan sword sect, so let Qin Zhan accompany me. With that said, Chun Daoxian turned to look at Qin Zhan and asked, Are you okay? It is good. Qin Zhan nodded. He also knew that his senior sister was right, that Chun Daoxian and Fei Qinshua had just become Taoist companions, and the integration of the Chun family and Qinyuan Jianzong had not yet begun, so the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua sent people to attack. It can be said that the enemy came too fast, and did not give the Chun family and Qinyuan Jianzong much time to react. But that's how war is. No one can predict when it will come. The only thing everyone can do is to try their best to improve their own strength. Compared with the threat of the Situ family, the real demon world is the biggest enemy of everyone. It is said that the sky is falling and there are tall people on it, but anyone with a discerning eye can see that the tall people in the Phoenix meteor realm are getting more and more powerless. This can be seen from the unscrupulous attitude of the Situ family. If Tianzuan City can make a move, the Situ family would never dare to be so arrogant, openly disobeying the prohibition of Tianzuan City, and taking action against the northwestern sections. Since that's the case, sooner rather than later, let's go. It is good. Concubine Qinshua is also a resolute person. After she has made her decision, she will no longer act like a young daughter. Chun Lang goes first, and the concubine will support later. Chun Daoxian nodded, then looked at Qin Zhan and said, Let's go. Sister, let's go first. Say it. Chun Daoxian and Qin Zhan flew into the teleportation formation, and disappeared instantly. Seeing the two people closest to her leave, Fei Chengshi's heart clenched. Hall of Thousand Machines. At this moment the Thousand Machines Hall is in ruins. Not only was the Guardian formation broken, but the entire sect was in ruins. Countless palaces were smashed and burned, and puppets of various forms were destroyed into wrecks. Spirit Field, Spirit Medicine Garden, Treasure Room. Each and every sect important place was either robbed or burned down. Occasionally, sporadic battles broke out in the sect, which was the remaining resistance force of the Thousand Machines Hall. However, these residual strengths cannot last long. High in the air, the three primordial spirit Taoists stood in the sky, looking at the miserable scene under their feet. Looking at the ruins below, one of the primordial spirit cultivators smiled and said, Brother Wu, when you're done packing, let's go to the next place. Let's strive to convert the territories of the northwestern sects and the immortals of the Qinyuan sword sect within a month. Get the device. I'm here to thank Patriarch Situ on behalf of the young master. Wu Ho bowed his hands to the two primordial spirit Taoists of the Situ family. You are welcome. The Situ family's Yuanshan Daojun smiled and said, As long as Xiao Daoyu remembers to go to Liangjiyuan in the future, don't forget to promise the ancestors' promise. Don't worry, fellow Taoist, my young master will never dare to forget. That's good. The two laughed even more happily. Boom! The two were laughing when suddenly, a terrifying energy wave erupted under their feet. What happened? Wu Hao's consciousness swept away, found the Xianyang sect's sect master on the front line, and questioned. Hearing the words, the sect master of Xianyang sect quickly teleported to Wu He's side, and said respectfully, Senior, it's a puppet. There is also a group of 6th order puppets hidden in the Qianji Hall. We just couldn't bear the loss. Trash! Wu Ho angrily scolded, even the sect master of Qianji Temple is dead, and you still can't get a small remaining true monarch. What's the use of me asking you? Saying that, he will kill the sect master of Xianyang sect with one palm. Seeing this scene, the sect master of Xianyang sect was so frightened that he immediately knelt down to Marquis Wu and said loudly, Senior, spare your life, Senior, spare your life. Brother Wu, wait. Seeing this, the two Daijins of the Situ family quickly stopped Wu Ho. It's just me waiting for another job. If you kill him, who will take care of the various resources here in the future for my Situ family? Yes, the juniors are still useful and useful. At this moment, the sect master of Xianyang sect has no more face, and only wants to survive. Seeing his appearance, the eyes of the three Daijins flashed a hint of disgust. A Taoist from the Situ family waved his hand and said, Go away. Yes, thank you, Daojun. The sect master of Xianyang sect immediately disappeared without looking back. Brother Wu, why should you be angry? Another Yuanshan Daojun from the Situ family comforted. Speaking of which, the sect master of the Xianyang sect is also surnamed Wu, and the two of you still have the same surname. In ancient times, maybe they belonged to the same clan. Humph! Wu Hao's face suddenly became a little unpleasant. He also deserves the surname Wu. Ha ha ha. Both of the Situ family laughed. Okay, Brother Wu, no kidding, I'm going to get rid of these small trash fish. After this campaign is over, there are still a few others waiting for us to clean up. After that, a primordial spirit Taoist from the Situ family raised his palm. In the sky, a giant palm pressed down towards the earth, as if the sky was going to be pierced by this blow. If Chen Daoxian was present, he would have easily recognized that this blow was just the most common low-level technique, called cloud manipulation. But in the palm of the Situ family's Yuanshan Daojun, the extremely ordinary cloud manipulation technique was used by him to suppress the world. The reason is that the palm of the sky condensed by the clouds is infused with the power of the terrifying world. Not only that, its appearance is also constrained by the primordial spirit Daojun with several laws. Let it be able to withstand the power of this terrifying world. After the opponent's magical change, in fact, this technique can no longer be called cloud manipulation. But in the primordial spirit stage, when you cast spells, you can do whatever you want. Especially in the case of realm crushing, you can fight as you want, and you don't even need to use magic weapons. Under this terrible attack, the sect of the Thousand Machines Hall was wiped out by a third of the area. You must know that as a sect that has been based on the northwest frontier for more than 100,000 years, the sect of Qianji Hall is larger than the land area of some countries in Chan Daoxuan's previous life. Even so, one-third of the area was destroyed by a blow from the Situ family's Yuanshan Daojun. Speaking of which, the power of this Yuanshan Daojun's casual strike surpassed Qin Zhan's use of the Emperor Yes Bell, which was terrifying. Under this blow, whether it was the true monarch Yuaning of the Qingwei Taoist faction, or the true monarch of the Qianji Temple who was stubbornly resisting, all of them died, and there was not a single one left. The remaining true monarch Yuaning of the Qingwei Taoist sect was shocked and angry when they saw this scene, but they just dare not speak out. After all, no one is not afraid of death. The Situ family Taoist frowned slightly. This is. Below, the sixth-order worm puppets were not completely destroyed by such a terrifying blow, and they wanted to struggle to stand up. However, they eventually fell down and failed to stand up. This puppet, interesting. The Yuanshan Daojun of the Situ family moved in his heart, and calmly put all the insect puppets below into the storage ring. When Wu Hao saw this scene, he didn't say anything. There were only a few puppets and they were not Taoist soldiers, so they were not worth mentioning. Tianyanzong. This was the first time Chen Daoxian came to the mountain gate of Tianyanzong. The last time he borrowed the way, he only stayed in Thousand Array City for a while. As soon as they walked out of the teleportation formation, the Valley Master of Spirit Insect Valley and the Sect Master of Tianyan Sect greeted him. Chan Zhenjuan, Qin Palace Master. When the two saw Chen Daoxian, they bowed to Chen Daoxian. At this critical moment, Chen Daoxian can still bring people to help, which shows his sincerity. Sect Master Zhou, Master Meigu. Chen Daoxian also bowed to the two of them. Looking around, the disciples of Spirit Insect Valley and Tianyanzong, all wearing armor and holding swords, shuttled through Tianyanzong sect. Tianyanzong's guardian formation was opened around the clock from the moment the Qianji Temple's sect was broken, and he did not dare to relax for a moment. But Spirit Insect Valley and Tianyanzong are two sects after all, and their disciples have never practiced the art of combined strikes. Therefore, there was chaos in the Tianyanzong sect, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. Even due to the arrival of Chen Daoxian, a large number of Wanxinghai cultivators were brought in, causing the interior of Tianyanzong to be even more chaotic. Fortunately, there were quite a few high-level cultivators in each sect, and under their strong suppression, there was finally no trouble. In fact, whether it is the two sect masters or Chen Daoxian, they all know that the key to this battle is not these low-level disciples, but the high-level monks. Even true monarch Yuaning could not play a decisive role. The fiasco of Qianji Temple was just around the corner, And the two had to admit that in the face of Yuanshan Daijin's attack, there was only Yuanying Xinjuan in the sect, and he was really vulnerable. As for the treasures at the bottom of the box in the face of the absolute strength gap, it seems so ridiculous. At this moment, whether it is the sect master of Tianyinzong or the valley master of Spirit Insect Valley, they all put their hopes on Chan Daoxian. Because only Chan Daoxian once had the fighting power to kill Yuanshan Daojun. There is no doubt that Chan Daoxuan's strength is definitely at the level of Yuanshan Daojun. Although there are 3 Yuanshan Daijins on the enemy side and only Chan Daoxian on their side, but the matter has come to this point they can't manage that much at all, and they can only gamble at the end. Up to now, with the overbearing power of the Situ family, even if Tianyinzong and Lingwagu surrendered, the other party would not accept it. This can be seen from the tragic state of the Thousand Machines Hall. Even if the Situ family wants to smash the backbone of various resistances in the northwest, so as to lay the foundation for their subsequent rule. Otherwise, once these remnants of resistance remain, resistance forces like Zhongzhou Sini religion will inevitably emerge in the northwest frontier. The Situ family sees this very clearly. Since they want to seize the territory of the northwest frontier, they must completely sweep away the obstacles in this territory. This is the way of the big clan. Compared with the Chan family, the Situ family's behavior is undoubtedly much more domineering. Of course, this domineering style of behavior must have something to do with the ruler of the Situ family. The next few days, the Tianyinzong sect master took Chen Daoxian and the Spirit Insect Valley master to visit the Tianyinzong defense formation and various large-scale defenses. However, apart from Chan Daoxian, whether it is the owner of the Spirit Insect Valley or Qin Zhan, they are all lacking in these interests. They knew in their hearts that these things were still of some use to the Yuanying true monarchs of the Qingwei Dao faction, but they were useless to the 3 Yuanshan Daijins. You can see the impatience on the 2 faces. Chen Daoxian comforted, Master Meigu, Sect Master Zhou, you two can rest assured. The 3 Yuanshan Daijins of the Qingwei Daoist sect will be handed over to the next. Hear this promise. Meigu Master and Tianyinzong sect master looked at each other, and their hearts were ecstatic. These few days what they want to hear most is undoubtedly this sentence. Now Chen Daoxian finally made a promise to the 2. However, the 2 knew clearly that Chen Daoxian could not pay blindly. They would definitely have to pay the price. After all, it was Chen Yuanjianzong guarding the sect for them. Chen Zhenjuan has any requirements, you may wish to say it bluntly. Up to now, the sect master of Tianyinzong no longer hides his words, and speaks directly. Chen Daoxian nodded. I do have some requirements, he paused. The 2 of you have also seen today's situation. Our northwestern sects, including my one Xinghai, are all located in remote areas and relatively scarce in resources, and no primordial spirit Taoist has been born. Precisely because there are no primordial spirit cultivators, a few Daijins from Zhongzhou can easily handle us. Right now the real demon world is staring at them, and Tianzuan City has been overwhelmed in order to resist the invasion of the real demon realm. This is why the Situ family dares to invade our northwestern sects so blatantly. Hearing this, everyone was filled with indignation. Their northwestern sects have been here for tens of thousands of years, and even if they are a little dirty with each other, they have never provoked outside forces. In addition, the resources in the northwest frontier are indeed scarce, and outside forces have no plans to invade here. But the outside world doesn't invade. Just because they don't want to invade doesn't mean they will never invade. This time, the blatant invasion of the Situ family completely awakened all the sects in the northwest. However, in order to clearly realize this, the Hall of Thousand Machines has been completely destroyed. The relationship between Spirit Insect Valley and Qianji Temple has always been good. Now that Qianji Temple has been destroyed, Spirit Insect Valley is the most frightened. Master Meigu stood up and said bluntly, "What does the true monarch have to say? But please tell me." Aside, the Tianyinzong sect master moved his mouth, sighed, and finally fell silent. "It is good." Chen Daoxian nodded, "Then I'll just say it straight." He looked around the crowd. "If we can survive this calamity safely, I hope that all the sects, including my Chan family, can unite completely to form a new force." The Valley Master of Spirit Insect Valley and the Sect Master of Tianyinzong looked at each other. Chen Daoxian smiled and looked at the 2 of them without urging them. Chapter 458. A long time. The sect master of Tianyanzong finally lowered his head. Now the situation of the various sects in the northwest, fighting alone, is really unable to compete with the first-class sections. On behalf of Tianyanzong, I agree with Chen Zhenjin's proposal. I agree. The Valley Master of Spirit Insect Valley also nodded. Now the Northwest sect, the Qianji Temple has been destroyed, the Qingwei Taoist sect and the Xianyang sect have also all stood on the side of the Situ family, leaving only the three families of the Spirit Insect Valley, the Tianyan sect and the Qianyuan Sword sect. After this battle, even if Chen Daoxian and the others won, the sects in the Northwest would suffer greatly, not to mention the first-rate sects in the outside world. Therefore, it seems that it is also a good choice for everyone to join together to warm up. Seeing that both of them agreed with his proposal, Chen Daoxian was in a good mood. To tell the truth, with the strength of the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong, after defeating the Qingwei Taoist faction, it is not impossible to conquer Lingwegu and Tianyanzong by force. But in that case, the strength of the cultivation world in the northwest will inevitably regress to a terrible situation. This was not what Chen Daoxian wanted to see. He also counted on, relying on the existing background of the Northwest cultivation world, to establish an unprecedented industrial immortal cultivation force. Just as he was about to say something, the Sun Mother sound transmission conch in the storage ring moved for a while, and Chen Daoxian calmly took it out of the storage ring. Immediately, a voice came from the sound transmission snail. I am Wu Ho, a disciple of Wu Ji Xianmen. I know the situation. I should quickly open the Guardian formation and surrender. Otherwise, in a day's time, I will wash the Tianyanzong with blood. The sound was very harsh, and it sounded extremely uncomfortable. Are you Xiao Yua's lackey? Who are you? Chen Daoxian sneered. A few days ago, one of Xiao Yua's dogs died in my hands. I didn't expect him to send another dog today, and it's still an old dog. It seems that your master is now too poor. Hearing this, Wu Ho narrowed his eyes slightly. So you killed Xianyi, what's your name? Dead, don't deserve to know my name. Boy, later, I will look at your mouth. Can you still be as tough as you are now? Say it. Wu Ho took the initiative to disconnect the Sun Mother sound transmission snail. Aside, everyone looked at Chen Daoxian with admiration. No matter what, the person Chen Daoxian was talking to was a Taoist primordial spirit. He actually dared to insult the other party without changing his face. It can be seen that Chen Daoxian is really not afraid of Yuanshan Daojun. Why are you looking at me like that? Chen Daoxian looked at everyone helplessly. Am I being polite to him? Will the other party not invade us? That said, but Chen Zhenjin's courage, the old man admires very much. The sect master of Tianyanzong shook his head. Qin Zhan was more direct, and said with a thumbs up, brother-in-law is mighty. Chen Daoxian ignored him, and was about to speak to the sect master of Tianyanzong. Suddenly, a burst of light flickered on Tianyanzong's teleportation formation. See, Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and everyone teleported towards the teleportation array. As the light on the teleportation array went out, the base of the teleportation array was already filled with cultivators from Wan Xinghai. Some of these cultivators were from the Qianyuan Sword sect, some from the cultivators of Wan Xinghai, and some simply were Wan Xinghai's loose cultivation. This scene can be regarded as unique in Tianyanzong. This time, Tianyanzong was guarding the mountain gate, posing a posture of decisive battle with the Qingwei Taoist faction. But the real defenders in Tianyanzong are only the direct disciples of Tianyanzong and Spirit Insect Valley. As for the immortal clan attached to the two sects, seeing this situation, they all chose to wait and see. As for the loose repair, it is even more irrelevant to hanging up high. For loose cultivators, no matter who leads this land, it has little to do with them. Anyway, the loose cultivator does not have any cultivation resources. Who should be the emperor and not be? However, the monks in Wan Xinghai are obviously very different. Not only did the Xiuxian family send a large number of monks to support them, but also the number of loose cultivators who came to support them. When Sect Master Yenzong saw hundreds of true cultivators, he was almost stunned. He did not expect that Qianyuan Jianzong could dispatch so many Yuanying monks. In terms of the number of nascent soul true monarchs, Wan Xinghai's family is several times more than his Tianyanzong and Lingwugus combined. Thinking of this, The sect master of Tianyinzong couldn't help but glance at the valley master of Spirit Insect Valley. Fear. This is the only feeling in their hearts at the moment. If it wasn't for the fact that the Qingwei Taoist sect had introduced the Situ family as a foreign aid, it would have caused a dimensionality reduction attack on the northwestern sections. The strongest sect in the northwestern sects would definitely be the Qianyuan sword sect. Counting down, Qianyuan Jianzong not only has Chen Daoxian concubine Chunxue, Qin Zhan, but also has more than 10 top real monarchs. In addition, Qianyuan Jianzong has the most. It is the true monarch of loose cultivation. Although it seems that the cultivation base and strength of these scattered cultivators are not outstanding at the moment, but as time goes by, among these scattered cultivators, sooner or later, a large number of top-level true monarchs and even world-level true monarchs will be born. This point, Tianyinzong's sect master does not doubt at all. At this moment, the two of them couldn't help but feel a little fortunate. They were fortunate to have agreed to Chen Daoxuan's request to form an alliance just now. Otherwise, who can guarantee that after repelling the Situ family, Chen Daoxian will continue to invade them? Chen Lang. Among the crowd, Fei Chenxue stood at the forefront. Seeing Chen Daoxian, concubine Chen Shui flew towards him with a flash of light. Chen Daoxian looked at the beautiful woman in front of him and nodded slightly to her. Fei Chenxue knew that this was not the time to talk in detail, so after the sect master Chao Tianyinzong and the Spirit Insect Valley master saw the ceremony, he said to everyone, "Everyone, this time I, the Wanxinghai cultivator, are all dispatched to support the Tianyin sect. In this battle, we will definitely be able to crush the traitor of the Qingwei Daoist faction." The sect master of Tianyinzong immediately bowed his hands and thanked. "The sect master of the imperial concubine is righteous." Sect master concubine said it well. As the second female cultivator present, the valley master of Spirit Insect Valley had a pretty face full of frost. Obviously, this time the Qingwei Daoist sect led foreign enemies to invade the northwestern sects, and the Spirit Insect Valley hated them. Tens of thousands of years. Although there are contradictions among the northwestern sects, they are only internal contradictions. Like the Qingwei Taoist sect, who would rather betray their own sect and go to the northwest to die, will naturally be hated by others. Because this kind of behavior is typical of harming others and not oneself. Chen Daoxian and the others do not believe that the Qingwei Taoist faction will become the true ruler of the northwestern border after defeating the northwestern sections. It is foreseeable that once the Qingwei Taoist faction wins, the final situation will only be reduced to the lackeys of the Situ family, not even vassals. In the future, they are the coolies of the Situ family planting spiritual fields and digging spiritual mines in the northwest border. Some greetings down. Chen Daoxian finally had a chance to be alone with concubine Qinxue. "Why are you here? Didn't I let you sit in Wuxia? The two of us are separated, don't we give the enemy a chance to defeat them one by one?" Fei Chenxue asked back. Chen Daoxian was speechless for a moment. All he thought was that he didn't want Fei Chenxue to take risks here. It was said that he had enough confidence that he could defeat the 3 Yuanshan Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua with the Dao soldiers in his hand, but it was difficult to say whether or not they had trump cards for opponents of this level, especially the Situ family. Ancestor Situ, as a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world, has unfathomable strength, and it is impossible for the other party to not have the treasure at the bottom of the box. What if this time he bestowed the treasure to the 2 Yuanshan Daijins who came to the northwest land? A 3-star Taoist team can theoretically deal with 3 Taoist monarchs who have not practiced the combination of formations and strikes. But I am afraid that they have unknown trump cards. Chen Daoxian has been practicing so far, and he has defeated the strong countless times. Isn't it just relying on his own cards to continue to win? He can have a trump card, why can't other monks have it? This was also the biggest reason why Chen Daoxian didn't want his concubine Chen Shui to accompany him on the adventure. If these 3 Yuanshan Daijins have no trump cards, the 3-star Taoist squad he prepared is more than enough to deal with them. But if the opponent has a whole card, even with the 3-star Taoist team in Fei Chenxue's hands, it will be difficult to reverse the situation. Chen Daoxian didn't want to gamble. He has even done a good job. If he loses, he will let the Sanqing Taoist team break, and he will follow Yi Qianqi and flee from the endless void to the 2 realms from the Shenhuang realm. Although this trip is a life-and-death experience, it's better than a life-and-death experience. It was because of the retreat that Chen Daoxian dared to lead someone to help Tianyinzong. But now that Fei Chunxue has also rushed over and fled to Liang Jiyuan with her, the danger has increased exponentially. However, when he saw Fei Chengshi's firm eyes, he couldn't say any more words of reproach. You are right, this battle can only be won, not lost. Concubine Chunxue took a step forward. Her small hand clasped Chen Daoxuan's large palm. Her eyes met, and everything was silent. Boom! 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 Shay! Just as the two were talking, 9 bells rang through the entire Tianyinzong. Enemy attack! The sect master of Tianyinzong flew into the sky and roared loudly. With this loud roar, the other party obviously mustered up his mana, and Chen Daoxian only felt a thunder blast in his ear. The other cultivators were all shocked, and they all looked at the sect master of Tianyinzong in the sky, and the instruments in their hands couldn't help but tighten. Under the spirit armor covering the whole body, almost all the monks were sweating nervously. Although the news of the destruction of the Qianji temple has not yet spread among the ordinary disciples, everyone is not a fool. What kind of opponent is worthy of the 3 sects of Tianyinzong, Lingwegu and Qianyuan Jianzong to unite and still stand by the mountain? This proves that the invading enemy is far more powerful than the 3 major sections see. Chen Daoxian also flew high into the sky. His consciousness swept out of the Tianyinzong protector's array, and immediately, the 3 primordial spirit Daijins were shrouded in his consciousness. Just then he heard a cold hum. His divine consciousness suddenly fled back into the sea of consciousness. Not only that, but the remaining power of this blow also invaded Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness along with the divine consciousness. Divine consciousness attack. But fortunately, Chen Daoxuan's sea of knowledge has golden scriptures sitting on the throne, and it is infallible. This divine consciousness attack just broke into Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness, and it suddenly disappeared like a mud bowl into the sea. Brother Wu, what's wrong? A primordial spirit Dao Jun from the Situ family wondered. Someone spying on me with divine sense just now and I counterattacked. Wu Ho shook his head. Haha, in this small northwestern borderland, there are people who dare to use their spiritual sense to spy on Brother Wu. Really don't know whether to live or die. Hearing this, Marquis Wu smiled in agreement, but quickly suppressed the smile, because he knew that he didn't take advantage of the contact just now. The divine consciousness attack he unleashed was not slow, but it didn't seem to have any results. Thinking of this, Marquis Wu looked in the direction of Tianyinzong through the formation, and said, "You two, who will take the shot first this time? Let me do it." Among the 2 primordial spirit Dao monarchs of the Situ family, a burly cultivator stood up and said. On the other hand, the other one, who was thin, performed cloud manipulation in the Qianji temple, and wiped out the remaining power of the Qianji temple with one blow, did not compete with the opponent. It can be seen that the 2 Situ families Yuanshan Daojun will be headed by the emaciated one. Tianyinzong. The 6th Order Guardian Sect Grand Formation light curtain shrouded all the spiritual veins of Tianyinzong. Outside the array light curtain, the muzzles of the large warships are facing the Tianyinzong sect. It looked like a slaughter scene. At this moment, whether it is the defending side or the attacking side, they all hold their breaths and stare at each other silently. A decisive battle of this scale will only happen once in tens of thousands of years for the northwestern sections. Even if the Xianqing Dao League took the opportunity to invade the Qianyuan sword sect, there was no such a big battle. Brother Situ, please. Wu Ho bowed his hands towards the sturdy Situ family Taoist. Look at me. The sturdy Dao Jun nodded. His body seemed to have no gravity, and he slammed into the ground. Boom! The mountain shook for a while. A pit with a diameter of several meters appeared on the ground, and in the pit, a sturdy Taoist stood with his hands behind his back. Soon, his body swelled violently. 10 feet, 100 feet, thousands of feet. His stature has been expanding 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet. In the end, the figure of the Dao Jun of the Situ family stabilized at a height of 3,000 feet and stopped. Fa heaven and earth. In the Protector's great array, the sect master Tianyinzong looked at the giant standing in the sky and was stunned. Almost every high-level cultivator can cultivate the supernatural power of Fa, Tianxiang, and Earth, but they have never heard of anyone who can cultivate to this level. Chen Daoxian was not surprised. He had seen even more terrifying Dharma images in the true immortal origin realm. Compared with the giant axe, the Dharma image of this Taoist monarch in front of him is nothing more than a child's thing, not worth mentioning. And Chen Daoxian knew that after the cultivator reached the world realm, he could infuse the power of the world into the Dharma image, so that the Dharma image would skyrocket and exert more terrifying power. This is also one of Yuanshan Daijin's main attack methods. Compared with low-level monks, monks will pay more attention to melee combat after breaking through to the primordial spirit stage. The reason is that the magical power of Fa, Tianxiang, and Earth can perfectly carry the power of the world that the monks have opened up. Previously, the Tianjiao of the Zhang family in the two realms fought against Chen Daoxian, and he also used the magical powers of the heavens and the earth. It can be seen from this that the supernatural power of Fa, Tianxiang, and Earth is very common among primordial spirit cultivators. Humph! 2 white columns of air were ejected from the giant's nostrils and bombarded the formation light curtain. Just 2 breaths made the 6th order array light curtain flicker. You group of ants, are you hoping to block me with this method of breaking the formation? The giant roared, break it for me. With that said, the giant punched the formation light curtain. Chapter 460. Yeah, Chen Zhenjuan, if you refuse, who else in this room can take on this important task? What the Taoist said is very true. In the main hall, echoing voices came one after another. See, Chen Daoxian nodded. In this case, Chen is disrespectful today and should be the leader of the alliance. Compared with the 3 words and 3 surrenders of the mortal imperial power, there are not so many twists and turns among the monks. In many cases, monks are often the most convincing. Chen Daoxian's strength is the strongest, and when he comes to serve as the leader of the alliance, no one will refuse. In addition, the Chen family and the Qianyuan sword sect behind him are also the most powerful among the sects in the northwest. It is more suitable for him to be the leader of the alliance. Fei Chunxue sat beside Chen Daoxian, looking at the highly anticipated AI Lang. The love in her eyes lingered. Inside the hall, all the monks stood up from their seats, saluted Chen Daoxian respectfully, and sang harmoniously, "Ill wait, see the leader." Say it. All bowed their heads, looking at the top cultivator in the northwest who lowered his eyebrows and bowed his head in front of him. Chen Daoxian was instantly filled with pride. Today, the Chen family has finally grown from a small island family to the absolute hegemon in the northwest of Xianyun continent. In terms of territory, it is no less than the Situ family in the land of Zhongzhou. You don't have to be too polite. Chen Daoxian gave some help and said, "Thank you, Elias." Only then did Zhong Xiu straighten his body and look at Chen Daoxian with bright eyes. Indulge for a moment. Chen Daoxian hit the railroad while it was hot. Since our sects form an alliance today, from today onwards, our Northern Immortal Alliance will trade currencies in a unified way. We all know that among the cultivators, the currencies used are very complicated. The mainstream currencies are spirit stones, and some people even use spirit pills and magic weapons as transaction currencies. As for high-level monks, the power of creation is used as a transaction currency. So I was thinking that since we have formed an alliance, at least within my Northern Immortal Alliance, there should be a currency. Boom! This sentence immediately completely detonated the hall. Changing the transaction currency is no small matter. Once this is done, the so-called Northern Immortal Alliance will no longer be a simple alliance organization, but an inseparable power group, and its closeness is even stronger than that of the sect. But the unified transaction currency involves the fundamental interests of everyone present, so no one is willing to speak for a while. Seeing that, the first policy Chen Daoxian implemented after he became the leader of the alliance was about to be blocked. Concubine Qinxue stood up again and said, "I, Qianyuan Jianzong, are willing to use the new unified currency." Heard. The sect master of Tianyinzong and the valley master of Spirit Insect Valley looked at each other, and they also stood up and said, "I, Tianyinzong, would also like to use the new currency." Seeing that both Tianyinzong and the head of Lingwagu were willing to use the new currency, Chen Daoxian finally let go of his dangling heart. Previously, he only promoted spirit stone coins in the sphere of influence of Qianyuan Jianzong, because with the strong support of Qianyuan Jianzong, the effect was not bad. Nowadays, Tianyinzong and Spirit Insect Valley are also willing to use spirit stone coins, which means that spirit stone coins have become the only currency in the Northwest, and there is no obstacle. The Chun family's spirit stone coins have been issued for so many years, and they have achieved the ultimate in both experience and anti-counterfeiting. Even if Yuaning Zhenjuan came in person, it would be difficult to forge it. Even if there is a true monarch of Yuaning who has abolished the power of 9 bulls and 2 tigers and succeeded in forging the spirit stone coins, it does not have the capacity for large-scale industrial production. The value of the counterfeit spirit stone coins produced by the other party is not as much as what he earns from refining the power of creation. As the so-called beheading business is done by some people, the loss-making business is not done by anyone. As long as the method of industrialized production of spirit stone coins is not leaked out, Chen Daoxian is not worried about the proliferation of counterfeit coins at all. Moreover, the Chun family has been cracking down on counterfeit currency cases for so many years, with remarkable results. As long as this experience is extended to the entire northwestern region, it is only a matter of time before the spirit stone coins and the power of fortune are replaced by mixed currencies. Of course, Chen Daoxian also knew that these cultivators present agreed to promote the spirit stone coins, but in the actual promotion process, many of them will inevitably go against the grain. Regarding this issue, Chen Daoxian decided to use hard power to forcibly implement the spirit stone coins. All currencies such as spirit stones in the Northwest are replaced by spirit stone coins. It means that Chen Daoxian can take all the spirit stone mines in the Northwest under his control at the least cost. And there is Aoki Ding Factory. As long as there are enough spirit stones, he can continuously extract the power of good fortune. At that time, both his personal strength and the forces under his command will expand wildly at an unimaginable speed. Therefore, it is imperative to implement the spirit stone coin. The Tianyinzong and the monks in the Spirit Insect Valley who are present will be crushed to pieces by him, no matter who dares to block him. On this point, Chen Daoxian was unshakable. Tianyinzong, respectfully send one Xinghai cultivator to leave collectively. The sect master of Tianyinzong sighed to the Megu master beside him. This battle, the old man really doesn't know whether to lose or gain. Saying that, he shook his head. It is said that this battle repelled the Situ family, but ushered in an equally domineering Chen Daoxian. The valley master of Spirit Insect Valley understood the meaning of the other party's words, and thought for a while, why did Sect Master Zhou say this? No matter how strong the leader of the alliance is, he is still better than the thieves of the Situ family. Don't forget how they treat Qian Qian. Machine Hall. Hearing this, the sect master of Tianyinzong suddenly woke up like a dick. Yes, the Thousand Machines Hall was just different from being under the command of the Situ family, and it was slaughtered wildly by the other party. There were very few survivors. It can be said that the Qinji Temple, which has been based in the northwest for tens of thousands of years, just disappeared. As soon as this matter came out, any sect would feel terrified at the domineering behavior of the Situ family. This is also the reason why the sect master of Tianyinzong and the valley master of Spirit Insect Valley agreed to Chen Daoxian to form an alliance. Because in their opinion, no matter how strong Chen Daoxian is, he is always a monk in the northwest and he is his own. The Situ family is different. They are not only people from the land of Zhongzhou, but also behave in an unusually domineering style. Even if Tianyinzong and Spirit Insect Valley surrender to them, the future is very worrying. This simple truth, Tianyinzong sect master and Spirit Insect Valley master can see through it at a glance. Qianyuan sword sect. Looking at the Wan Xinghai cultivator, who kept appearing in the teleportation array, concubine Chenxua said strangely, "Isn't Chan Leng a little too anxious for today's move? You mean I forcibly promoted spirit stone coins as soon as I won the title of alliance leader?" Concubine Chenxua nodded. The Northern Immortal Alliance was first established when people were unstable. Wouldn't it be too urgent to forcibly promote the spirit stone coins at this time? In the eyes of the Northern Immortal Alliance's sects and Xiuxian families, he was undoubtedly looting the spiritual stones in their hands. Judging from the concubine's body, They only promised on the surface today, and they may not easily compromise behind the scenes. As a result, the prestige of your new alliance leader will be greatly affected. Chen Daoxian smiled and shook his head. You just pay too much attention to these political struggles. Today, I asked the monks present to agree to implement the spirit stone coins. In the future, anyone who dares to obstruct in private will only have a dead end. Chen Daoxian said murderously. Fei Chenxue looked at him blankly, and had to admit that the current Chen Daoxian did have this strength. Everyone agreed to implement the spirit stone coins in public today. If they were to be obstructed in private, Chen Daoxian would never be soft-hearted in killing people. At that time he only needs to establish a few models, and the rest will make the right choice obediently. Certainly, there will definitely be some family forces that can't stand Chen Daoxian's domineering, and will choose to leave other realms. For these people Chen Daoxian didn't care at all. You can go, but it must not hinder his policy of making Lingshi coins the only legal currency in the Northern Fairy Gate. As long as someone dares to stop him from promoting the spirit stone coins, Chen Daoxian will definitely kill him. You are getting more and more domineering now, Fei Chenxue murmured. With the current strength of the Northern Immortal League, even if you look at the first-class forces, it is not a weak existence. The only thing we lack now is the recognition of Tianzuan City. Chen Daoxian nodded. If you want Tianzuan City to recognize an emerging first-class force, you need at least one Yuanshan Daojun in the force who has served in the battlefield outside the territory. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue frowned immediately. Going to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms, this is a difficult choice even for the third-layer Taoist in the world. After all, the damage rate of Yuanshan Daojun on the battlefield outside the territory is too high. Especially the new Yuanshan Daojun. Among the many forces in the real demon world, there are world demons who specifically hunt and kill this newly serving Daojun. This also caused a large number of Daojins from the internal forces of Fengyun realm to be reluctant to serve on the battlefield outside the territory. Xiao Yua's behavior is just a microcosm of many Taoists. When Fei Chenxue thought that after breaking through the Yuanshan period, she would go to serve in an extraterritorial battlefield, and she also seemed a little concerned. Because in the battlefield outside the territory, even if your cultivation base can be invincible at the same level, how many world monsters are at the same level? Can you hit 2 with 1, 10 with 1, 100 with 1? The strength of the true demon realm far exceeds that of the Phoenix Meteor realm. The number of demons of the same rank naturally far exceeds that of the Phoenix Meteor realm. Many times, the monks of Fengyun realm faced the realm monsters and could only defend the city. Fortunately, almost all the immortal cities in Liangjiyuan were created by the Mahayana true immortals in the ancient times, which ensured that the cultivators of the Phoenix Meteor realm could defend the city. Otherwise, with these immortal cities inside the Phoenix Meteor realm, let alone defending the city, the world monsters can easily wipe it out. I thought about it, let's go to Liangjiyuan this time, we can go together. Hearing that Chen Daoxian was going to accompany her, concubine Chenxue suddenly forgot all the dangers. She smiled and said, okay, it's a deal. Don't be in a hurry to be happy. Although we go together, I went to Liangjiyuan not to accompany you to serve, but to have other things to do. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue felt a little gloomy. What's the matter? I'm going to a real immortal ruins, heard. Concubine Chenxue opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything after all. She knew why Chen Daoxian was so eager. In fact, all high-level monks who knew the threat of the real demon world would not feel anxious. Only the bottom-level cultivators of the Phoenix Meteor realm would feel that singing and dancing were peaceful. Although Chen Daoxian was eager, he already had a faint grasp of defeating the real demon world in his heart. In the past, all Chen Daoxian thought was to rely on his own vigorous accumulation to break through the Mahayana true immortal, so as to bless his relatives and friends. As for helping Fengyun realm defeat the true demon realm, he never thought about it. The strength gap between the Phoenix Meteor realm and the true demon realm cannot be leveled by the birth of a Mahayana true immortal. What if Chen Daoxian broke through to the Mahayana true immortal? Can he beat a true immortal level world demon? Can he beat 100, 1,000? The strength gap between the real demon world and the Phoenix Meteor world cannot be changed by a mere Mahayana true immortal. In the ancient times when the Phoenix Meteor world was at its peak, how many Mahayana true immortals were there? The ancient books left behind cannot be recorded. But what is the result? It's not a world monster who hasn't won the real monster world. After these Mahayana true immortals ascended to the upper realm, as the Phoenix Meteor realm was swallowed up by the true demon realm bit by bit, the Phoenix Meteor realm was never able to give birth to the Mahayana true immortal. The true origin realm is different. Due to its devotion to the Phoenix Meteor realm, the true demon realm has also strengthened little by little over the years. The stronger the real demon world, the more powerful people will be born. In other words, after so many years of accumulation, the real power of the real demon world might be stronger than in the ancient times. From this point of view, the real demon world does not invade the Phoenix Meteor world, and it is more just dismissive. Because in their opinion, the fate of the Phoenix Meteor world has long been doomed, and it makes no difference whether they invade or not. But the birth of Yaoting changed the mind of the real demon world. The demon court wants to unify the real demon world, and the forces within the real demon world are too chaotic. In order to unify the real demon world, the demon court must establish a foreign enemy, and this foreign enemy is the Fengyun world. Although Yaoting also knew that Fengyun realm could not be an opponent of the true demon realm, it still needed this foreign enemy as an excuse for it to unify the real demon realm. In other words, once the demon court unifies the real demon world, it will inevitably start a genocide war against the Fengyun world. At that time, no matter whether it is a mortal or a monk, no one will be able to survive this doomsday catastrophe. Chen Daoxian seemed to see the worry on Fei Chengshi's face, and comforted. Don't worry, although this trip is dangerous, I will be fully prepared. Fei Chenxue nodded obediently. Up to now, she has adapted to the change in identity from Qianyuan Jianzong sect master to Chen Daoxian Dao companion. Twin Lakes Island. Chen Family Dharma Instrument Research Institute. Chen Daoxuan's figure suddenly appeared in front of Chen Daochu. How about it? When Chen Daoxian saw Chen Daochu, the first sentence was to ask this inexplicable sentence. Chen Daochu kept shaking his head. Patriarch, the sixth order puppet production line. How can it be so easy to get? You look down on me too much. Your Magical Tool Research Institute is not what it used to be. With thousands of high-level artifact refiners joining in, is there a sixth order puppet production line in the area? Can it be done for so long? Hearing this, Chen Daochu was instantly furious. Patriarch, speak with conscience. This is a sixth order puppet. The highest-ranking artifact refiner in our Magical Tool Research Institute is only a fifth-order artifact refiner. How can you come up with a sixth-order puppet production line so quickly? Woolen cloth? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but ponder. He had to admit that what Chen Daochu said made sense. However, according to the scientific research experience of the previous life, enough manpower can greatly promote the progress of complex projects. And this theory does not hold true in the world of immortals. Wrong. Should not be established. Chen Daoxian suddenly thought of something. He looked at Chen Daochu and asked, what is the specific research process for you to develop a sixth-order puppet production line? Specific process? Chen Daochu was stunned, but he quickly replied, we all adopt the method of competitive development, and arrange all the high-level refiners to develop this sixth-order puppet production line. And whoever develops it first will be rewarded. Chen Daoxian. Chapter 461. Think for a moment. Chen Daoxian said, Daochu, can you subdivide the sixth-order insect puppet production line into small modules, and then let the high-level artifact refiners of the Artifact Research Institute develop it by division of labor and cooperation? After thinking for a while, Chen Daochu sighed. Patriarch, I have certainly tried the method you mentioned, but you also know that high-level instruments are highly integrated. To be able to split the research and development of high-level magic tools into small modules, there must be a very powerful artifact refiner to take the lead. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian thought that the same is true for scientific research projects in his previous life. Usually, a person who has mastered the overall situation is required to drive the entire scientific research team to run forward. Chen Daoxian glanced at Chen Daochu. After so many years of painstaking research on the art of refining, Chen Daochu's refining level was only one step away from the fifth-order refining master. The only pity is that Chen Daochu does not have such favorable conditions as Chen Daoxian, and can use the plug-in Hongming Enlightenment Classic. Otherwise, Chen Daochu, who was so focused on the way of refining tools, might be able to refine 7th-order magic tools now. Daochu, what do you think about you being the leading crafter? Chen Daochu was stunned. The current Magical Instrument Research Institute is not as good as it used to be. Since the absorption of a large number of artifact refining masters from the Qianyuan Jianzong Artifact Refining Hall, the strength of the Chen Family Magical Instrument Research Institute has skyrocketed. But it is also facing the problem that the Institute of Magical Instruments is gradually led by the monks of the Artifact Refining Temple. No way, the refining hall has cultivated far more refiners than the Chen family has cultivated over the years. Although the Chen family has spared no effort in cultivating refiners, the birth of high-level refiners requires a lot of resources and a long time, both of which are indispensable. Although the Chen family's high-level refiners are not inferior to Wan Xinghai's Yuanying family, they are still a lot weaker than Qianyuan Jianzong. Not to mention, the thousands of 4th-order refiners in the Guangqianyuan sword sect are beyond the Chen family. Chen Daochu shook his head. Let's not say that the master of the Huyan Palace is a 5th-order refiner. Among those 4th-order refiners in the refining hall, there are quite a few who are more powerful than me. Item refining is the most important thing about strength. I am not skilled enough. Forcing those who are higher than me will probably be counterproductive. Chen Daochu is very self-aware. Although he is now in charge of managing the Magical Instrument Research Institute in name, in fact, the burden of developing the magical instrument has been transferred to the Huyan Hall Master and others. Chen Daoxian is also well aware of this. But there is no way, the Chen family's cultivator's level of refining is not as good as others, so he can only do it for others, and the layman directs the expert, which will only cause serious internal friction, and the final loss is the Chen family himself. It's not impossible to let Huyanqi lead the research on the 6th-order worm puppet production line, but I want to train you more. Chen Daoxian looked at him fixedly. You can also regard it as my selfishness, patriarch. Chen Daochu was deeply moved. He has always known that Chen Daoxian is a very nostalgic person. Under his leadership, the Chen family has grown step by step to what it is today, but now the forces under Chen Daoxian are not just the Chen family. The various sects in the northwest, as well as countless immortal cultivating families, all threw themselves under the command of the Northern Immortal Alliance. Today's Chen Daoxian is a veritable first monk in the northwest, and the overlord of the entire northwest immortal world. Although the Chen family is strong, but compared with these forces there is nothing dazzling. Because except for Chen Daoxian, Chen Fuxing was the only one in the Chen family who had broken through to the nascent soul stage, and because of the cultivation that was forcibly promoted by swallowing Shangyuandan, his Dao realm was inferior to that of monks of the same level. It can be said that if the Chen family does not have Chen Daoxian, its power is only an ordinary Yuanying family, and it is inconspicuous in the entire Northern Immortal League. But with Chen Daoxian, the Chen family became the royal family of the Northern Immortal League. The cultivators of the Chen family were all enlightened, and the chickens and dogs ascended to heaven. Now that the cultivators of the Chen family are out and about, they are naturally superior, and their status is higher than that of the Qianyuan sword sect disciples in Wangxinghai. All this was brought by Chen Daoxian, and the Chen family cultivator knew it well. Okay, if you don't speak, I'll take it as your agreement, Chen Daoxian said with a smile. Chen Daochu said anxiously, but I'm just a 4th-order craft refiner. Then use resources to pile you up to a 5th or even 6th-order refiner, is it difficult? Chen Daoxian asked rhetorically. Enlightenment tea and various treasures that enhance your understanding will be open to supply you. Also, I will preach for you every day, and I will also personally instruct you on your art of refining. Hearing this, Chen Daochu nodded fiercely. Patriarch, don't worry, if I can't take on this important task, then I'm too useless. This is what my Chen family should say. Chen Daoxian nodded in satisfaction. In fact, with the level of Chen Daoxuan's 6th-order artifact refiner, he can personally lead the development of this 6th-order insect puppet production line. But he wasn't going to do that. In fact, whether it is alchemy or weapon refining, Chen Daoxuan's principle is to let the forces under his command be responsible. As a leader of a force, it is impossible for him to cover everything, even if he has the ability. He once stood up as the battle force of the Chen family, because no one in the Chun family could take on this great responsibility. Even the most talented Chun Fuxing could not keep up with Chen Daoxuan's footsteps under the cultivation of various top resources. In desperation, Chen Daoxian had no choice but to stand up by himself as the external face of the Chun family. But for the refining of weapons and alchemy, he would never stand up for the Chun family or the monks under his command. Otherwise, what is the use of Chen Daoxuan's people? In the next days, Chen Daochu came to the patriarch's immortal mansion every day to ask Chen Daoxian about the knowledge of artifact refining. In addition to preaching to the other party, Chen Daoxian also broke down his understanding of artifact refining a little bit and told Chen Daochu to listen. As time flows, Chen Daochu's refining level has improved by leaps and bounds. In less than 3 months, his refining level has broken through to the 5th order, and it is still improving rapidly. After Chen Daochu officially broke through the 5th order refiner, he also announced to the high-level refiner of the Magical Instrument Research Institute that he would officially undertake the important task of developing the 6th order insect puppet production line. To this end, he also specially selected a group of these high-level refiners as members of his research team. As the second 5th order artifact refiner of the Chen Family Artifact Research Institute, everyone is quite convinced about his selection of team members. After all, Chen Daochu might not be as good at refining as Huyanqi for the time being, but he is much younger than Huyanqi. More importantly, Chen Daochu's cultivation was only in the late period of Zifu. With such a low level of cultivation, the refining level has reached the 5th rank. It can be said that this is a unique phenomenon in the entire history of Wangxinghai's refining. Everyone is naturally curious. Driven by various reasons, Chen Daochu's R&D team was established very smoothly. Soon Chen Daochu led the development of the 6th order worm puppet production line. Twin Lakes Island. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. In a secret room, Chen Daoxian was sitting cross-legged. In front of him, a metal structure the size of a grinding disc was quietly placed in front of him. This metal structure the size of a grinding disc is the biggest masterpiece of the Thousand Machines Hall for tens of thousands of years, the insect puppet. As a kind of puppet, the worm puppet, like other puppets, also has driving energy. Other puppets are generally driven by spiritual energy and formation, and the same is true for the worm puppet in front of them. But the difference between the two is that the energy cores of other puppets are mostly high-level spirit stones with high energy density. The energy core of the insect puppet is something called a spiritual core. Through the inheritance of the Thousand Machines Hall, Chen Daoxian figured out what the spiritual core is. To be precise, it is an extremely compressed spiritual stone aggregate. Compared with ordinary high-level spiritual stones, the spiritual energy stored in the spiritual core is tens of millions of times higher. To some extent, spiritual core and spiritual stone are not the same thing. Take the simplest example. When the spiritual energy in the spiritual stone is exhausted, the puppet will no longer function. Therefore, the high-level spiritual stone of ordinary puppets is not the driving energy, but the starting energy that attracts the external spiritual energy. To put it simply, ordinary puppets rely on the combined effect of spirit stones and spirit-gathering formations to attract outside spiritual energy, to drive the movement of the puppets. But the insect puppet is not the case. Its spiritual core not only stores the unimaginable spiritual energy of the spiritual stone, but also continuously attracts the external spiritual energy to replenish itself. In other words, with a spiritual core, the worm puppet is equivalent to having a steady stream of energy. In the words of the previous life, this will make the output power of the worm puppet far exceed that of ordinary puppets. This is also the fundamental reason why the rank of the insect puppet can be as high as the 6th rank. You must know that it is not an easy task for any kind of puppet to reach the 6th rank. Although the 6th order puppet cannot be compared with Yuanshan Daojun, it is enough to deal with ordinary Yuanying monks. Of course, the premise is that the Yuanying cultivator has to fight with the 6th order puppet if he can't think of it. In addition to the core energy, the main material of the insect puppet is several 6th order spiritual minerals. You must know that the higher the grade of the spirit ore, the greater its value. The Chun family made their fortune in the past, and it was only by trading the Wangxinghai seabed spiritual, or with the shark people, and earning the price difference that it became bigger step by step. But that is only the 1st and 2nd order spiritual ore. The sixth-order spiritual ore is very rare even for major sects such as Qinyuan Jianzong and Qianji Temple. After all, the resources in the northwest are barren unlike Zhongzhou, not to mention the sixth-order spiritual ore, even the seventh-order spiritual ore, which is not uncommon. It's just that most of these cherished resources are monopolized by Wuji Xianmen, and the rest of the scraps are divided up by the vassal forces of Wuji Xianmen, such as the Situ family. The Northwest land has not been coveted by the outside world for so many years, and a large part of the reason is also because it is too barren. Except for the low-level monks and the high-level monks above the nascent soul stage, few people are willing to stay here for cultivation. The worm puppet created by the Thousand Machines Hall is an excellent material for refining Taoist soldiers. Puppets are the foundation of Taoist soldiers. A good puppet will make the refined Taoist soldier stronger. Chen Daoxian did not know whether the strength of the Taoist soldiers refined by the insect puppets was strong, but it was very rare for it to consume so little spirituality. Of course, all of this is just speculation from the Temple of Thousand Machines. Whether the worm puppet is so powerful, Chen Daoxian is still unclear. Today, let's see if the oath I made to the Great Tao is worth it. Chen Daoxian took out a jade bottle and opened it slowly. In the jade bottle, a golden light spot floated. Spirituality. Chen Daoxian took a deep breath and guided the golden light spot in the bottle with his divine sense. As soon as the golden light spot leaves the jade bottle, it will dissipate when it comes into contact with the outside air. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian did not dare to neglect, and directly introduced the golden light spot into the body of the worm. As the golden light spots merged into the body, the originally quiet body of the insect puppet trembled violently. Immediately afterwards, the body of the insect puppet began to emit golden light, and its body continued to shrink. Chen Daoxian was stunned by the scene in front of him. The worm puppet shrank smaller and smaller. At first it was the size of a grinding disc. Soon it became the size of a spirit stone, and finally it became the size of a grain of rice. It's just this grain of rice that emits a faint light in the air, like a firefly in the night sky. Is this a worm puppet soldier? Chen Daoxian couldn't believe it. If it weren't for the aura of this insect soldier, Chen Daoxian would have doubted the combat effectiveness of this little one. Although in the immortal cultivation world, strength is not absolutely related to body size, but it is not so small. It's too small, Chen Daoxian muttered. Just when he was about to test the strength of this insect soldier, his communication jade talisman rang. Patriarch. As soon as the communication jade talisman was connected, Chen Daoxian heard Chen Daochi's excited voice. The insect puppet production line is completed. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was overjoyed. After 1,000 hopes, the insect puppet production line has finally been successfully built. Although building a magical tool production line is already familiar to the Chen family's Magical Tool Research Institute, this insect puppet is a sixth-order magical tool after all. With such a high rank, Chen Daoxian really didn't expect Chen Daochu to succeed so quickly. I'm coming here. After putting this sentence down, Chen Daoxian immediately expanded his consciousness, locked Chen Daochu's position, and a teleportation appeared beside the other party. Patriarch. Alliance. When everyone saw Chen Daoxian, they saluted him. Chen Daoxian can probably recognize that most of these people are high-level refiners in the Qianyuan Sword Sect Refining Hall, and only a few are fourth-level refiners trained by the Chen family. Don't be too polite. Chen Daoxian didn't care about being polite to everyone, and turned to look at Chen Daochu. Where's the worm puppet production line? At this, Chen Daochu immediately ordered people to move away, and suddenly, a huge machine tool appeared in Chen Daoxuan's line of sight. Chen Daoxian stepped forward and touched the metal body of this huge machine tool, and he couldn't help feeling excited. Yu reading www.conshu.com. If the emergence of the Rongling furnace is just the industrial germination of the Xiaoxian world, then the birth of the magic tool machine tool is a sign of the maturity of the industrialization of the Xiaoxian world. Boom dash, the huge instrument machine roared. Under the control of Chen Daochu, in just 10 days, a sixth-order worm puppet appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. Not counting the materials for making worm puppets, this magic tool machine can make a worm puppet in 10 days. More importantly, according to Chen Daochu's description, this machine tool was made by everyone. That is to say, it does not require a sixth-order refiner to create it. In other words, through it, the refiner can create a sixth-order worm puppet by leaps and bounds, provided that only a group of fourth-order refiners work together. This undoubtedly broke the refining rules of the Phoenix meteor world for countless years. In the past, Tier 1 artifact refiners could only refine Tier 1 magical artifacts. But now the facts tell Qin Daoxian not necessarily. A Tier 1 crafter can also create a Tier 2 magical artifact, as long as more Tier 1 crafters are needed. According to this trend, as long as there are enough high-level refiners in the future, wouldn't they be able to create pure Yang immortal artifacts? Of course, it's a little far off to talk about pure Yang immortal artifacts now. What Qin Daoxian wants to do most now is to build a worm puppet production line with all his strength, and then explode soldiers. https:// Chapter 462. True Demon World. The four great demon realms. Wasteland Demon Realm. The four major demon kingdoms, including the Qingqiu Demon Country opposite the Wuxia Passage, are located in the Wilderness Demon Domain. And now the base camp of the Demon Court, which has set off huge waves in the real demon realm, is located in the most extensive wolf-greedy demon realm among the four major demon realms. Therefore, the greedy wolf demon realm has always been regarded as the core realm of the true demon realm, and its status is equivalent to the land of Zhongzhou in Xianyun continent. However, the area of the greedy wolf demon domain is many times larger than that of Zhongzhou. After careful calculation, I am afraid that the total land area of the entire Xianyun continent may not be comparable to the wolf-greedy demon realm. This is the horror of the real demon realm. In the demon land of the wasteland, the barbarian roaring demon country is only 1,000,000 miles away from the Qingqiu demon country. The barbarian roaring demon kingdom is not one of the four major demon kingdoms conquered by the Qinyuan sword sect, but in terms of the land area of the demon kingdom, the barbarian roaring monster kingdom is even larger than the four great monster kingdoms combined. Most importantly, according to the information provided by the four demon nations, this roaring demon country, in the first round of lobbying by the envoy of the Demon Court, chose to join the Demon Court. This time the two sides have nothing to say. Standing behind the four big demon kingdoms is the Wan Xinghai in the past, and now the Northern Immortal Alliance, which is a hardcore opponent of the Demon Court, unifying the real demon world. In order to delay the unification of the real demon world by the Demon Court, Qin Daoxian even proposed a method of exporting magic weapons to the anti-influence forces in the real demon world. However, the anti-regime forces in the real demon world are also demons after all. Qin Daoxian's move, although he can make a lot of profits, also strengthens the power of the demon in disguise. If the unification of the real demon world is irreversible, they will have a large number of human race instruments that can be used directly. Originally, the use of magic weapons was the only place where human monks were stronger than world demons. After Qin Daoxian's actions, perhaps in the future, the gap between the magical weapons between the two sides will become dispensable. At that time, once the war completely breaks out, the disadvantage of the human race monks will be even greater. Therefore, at the moment when the Qin Family Magical Instrument Research Institute was able to build the insect puppet production line, Qin Daoxian changed the normal trading model he had envisaged and changed it to plundering by force. It has to be admitted that among all the methods of plundering by force is the only way to maximize the weakening of the enemy and the enhancement of oneself. If you want to do something more extreme, it is to genocide the plundered objects while plundering them by force. This is the new policy formulated by Qin Daoxian. It is precisely because of this new policy that there has been a storm in the wasteland demon domain. The red-scaled demon lord is the frontier of the wild roaring demon kingdom. In front of the scarlet-scaled demon lord, a young cultivator wearing a crescent-colored Taoist robe, holding Taoist on his head, and a handsome young cultivator talked eloquently. Looking at the human race envoy in front of him, the scarlet-scaled demon lord hurriedly lowered his head and said, "Your Majesty, that's right." Qin Fuxing nodded. "I heard that the lord of this wild roaring demon country is a Taoist-level demon. Is it true?" The scarlet-scaled demon lord hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "It's true. Speaking of which, my Qingqiu demon nation was originally a subsidiary demon nation of the barbarian roar demon nation." "Oh." Hearing these remarks, Chun Fuxing was taken aback. Originally, he thought that the 4 major demon kingdoms were located in remote places. There is no power restriction on the top of the head, and I didn't expect a suzerain demon kingdom to pop up. Seeing Chun Fuxing so surprised, the scarlet-scaled demon lord lowered his eyebrows and explained, "Your Excellency, let alone the Qingqiu demon nation of the slave family, it is our strongest demon nation of Great Yuan, and it also belongs to the barbarian demon nation in name. I don't know about the other big demon kingdoms, but our Qingqiu demon country, every 100 years, will pay tribute to the barbarian roar demon country. Not only that, every time our Qingqiu demon country attacks, we also specially select a large number of young clansmen, morphing into human form for the pleasure of these smelly lizards. Every time they ravage and torture our people, they will eat them directly. Slave family. Talking. The scarlet-scaled demon lord put on a sobbing look in front of Chun Fuxing. If it wasn't for the fluffy snow-white tails behind her swept around, Chun Fuxing would have been deceived by her delicate appearance. It turns out that you are all affiliated demon kingdoms of the wild roaring monster kingdom. No wonder your 4 major demon kingdoms have been in constant friction for so many years, but they haven't started a war to destroy the country. Chun Fuxing nodded clearly. He finally figured out why the Jia demon nation was so weaker than the Great Yuan demon nation, yet it was not destroyed by the neighboring Great Yuan demon nation. It is not that the Great Yuan demon nation is benevolent, but that there is a common suzerain demon nation over the heads of the Great Yuan demon nation and the extreme night demon nation. Think of this. Chun Fuxing couldn't help laughing. It seems that even if we don't come to trouble the Manho monster nation this time, they will come to us sooner or later. Hearing this, the scarlet-scaled demon lord smiled shyly, but did not speak. Of course she knew that what Chun Fuxing said was the truth. The Northern Immortal Alliance took over all the subordinate demon states of the Manho demon nation at one time. If its suzerain demon state did not stand up, wouldn't the large and small demon states under its control be all going to be troubled in the future? This precedent is absolutely impossible. With a slight cough, the scarlet-scaled demon lord said cautiously, "Envoy, do you think we fought all the way from the border of the Manho demon nation or?" Chun Fuxing straightened his body, shook his head and said, "It's too slow to beat the cities, of course. It's the kingdom of the wild roaring demon kingdom." Chun Fuxing's choice was exactly the same as when Chan Daoxian conquered the Qingqiu demon nation. He wanted to use his absolute strength to directly sweep the top-level power of the Manho demon nation. If it was just relying on Chun Fuxing and him to bring these few demon masters, of course it couldn't be done. Not only can he not do it, but if a few Yuan Ing-level combat powers dare to make trouble in the country of the wild roaring demon kingdom, it is estimated that they will be crushed to the point where there is no scum left. But this time, Chun Fuxing brought the latest 1-star insect soldier created by the Northern Immortal League, the Monster Eater. The name Monster Devouring Insect was originated by Chan Daoxian, which means to devour the world monster. As for the combat power of the Monster Eater, Chan Daoxian personally tested it, and it was even stronger than the 1-star Taoist soldier he bought. Although the Monster Eater cannot rely on the formation method to greatly improve its own strength like the Taoist team, but as an insect soldier, once the size of the Monster Eater reaches a certain level, there will be a qualitative change. This time, Chun Fuxing brought 1,000 of the more than 1,000 Monster Eaters produced by the Chun family in the past 2 years in order to crusade against the wild roaring demon nation, and to test the ability of the Monster Eaters to fight on a large scale. People who don't know why will think that 1,000 humanoid soldiers are a huge number. But 1,000 insect soldiers are no big deal. In fact, 1,000 insect soldiers are stronger than 1,000 1-star Taoist soldiers. Because the Taoist soldiers can only use the formation method to fully exert their own strength, but the insect soldiers are not the case. The more they gather, the greater the threat. If a sea of worms can be formed, it will be a scene of complete despair. However, 1,000 soldiers can barely use the formation method to integrate their strength. What if there are more humanoid soldiers? Can the formation still play a sufficient role? This is the natural disadvantage of humanoid soldiers. Humanoid soldiers are so much like human monks, so there are so many restrictions. Although it is similar to the human race cultivator, the humanoid warrior has the ability to cultivate human race spells and cast human race magic weapons, But it also makes the humanoid warrior lose the opportunity to maximize their combat power. World demons are not proficient in spells, and they are not very good at using magical tools, but are they weak? Not really. Demons of the same rank are often stronger than human monks, and insect soldiers are the same way. Thousands of Machines Hall has gone through countless genius puppet masters for tens of thousands of years, and this has created a kind of insect puppet that can perfectly exert its own strength. It can be said that if the Hall of Thousand Machines is immortal, the future will be limitless. Let's go. Chun Fuxing glanced at the direction of Manho Yaogua Kingdom, and with several demon masters, he went straight to the capital of Manho Yaogua Kingdom. Passing through the major cities in the demon country, Chun Fuxing saw too many horrible sights. But the demon masters behind him have long been accustomed to it. Realm monsters feed humans and eat. In their eyes, it is just as natural as humans keep pigs and sheep. The closer he got to the country of the wild roaring demon kingdom, the more livid Chun Fuxing's face became. Until he set foot in the demon kingdom of Manho, the anger had already accumulated in Chun Fuxing's chest. I see. He stood in the sky, flew over the demon kingdom of Man roaring, and mustered up his mana to shout, "Get out! Come out! Come on!" This huge roar pierced through the sky and reverberated throughout the country of Barbarian Roar. Only for a moment, a team of world demons wearing golden armor, a lizard head, a human body, and a height of several meters flew straight towards Chun Fuxing. Human doll? Seeing Chun Fuxing, the lizard world demon headed by him was stunned, and then the golden vertical boy showed a cruel and tyrannical color. "Brothers, it's actually a human doll. Ha ha ha. Brother, I want to eat his legs. I want to eat the heart." In a few words, this group of demons from the roaring country actually divided up Chun Fuxing like this. They are so fearless, and of course they have confidence. Not to mention that this is the country of the wild roaring demon nation. Just relying on their true monarch-level world demon team, they can easily tear Chun Fuxing and the several demon masters behind it to shreds. Chun Fuxing looked at the scene in front of him coldly, not even interested in speaking. I saw that he took out a gourd-shaped instrument from his arms, and then the gourd instrument was slowly opened by him. Immediately after, a light spot the size of a grain of rice flew out of the gourd instrument, and then the light spots of rice grains gathered more and more. This is an extremely terrifying coercion directly enveloped the lizard world demon who was headed by him. It also wanted to say something, but the next moment, the golden light spot completely drowned it. Until the moment when it was completely destroyed, it didn't figure out what it was that killed it. Seeing that the leader of the team was killed, the rest of the real monarch-level demons were startled and instinctively wanted to disperse. It's just that these insect soldiers are small, but each has the strength of a one-star Taoist soldier. Where can these real monarch-level demons be able to compete? Less than a breath. All the lizard world monsters were overtaken by the monster eaters and devoured them cleanly. From the beginning to the end, Chun Fuxing, apart from taking out the gourd magic weapon, only had one action left, and that was to take a photo of the photo stone. This time Chen Daoxian dispatched the monster eater, not simply to exterminate the barbaric roaring monster country. Instead, he wanted to destroy the demon roar country and test the strength of the monster eater. In fact, in order to ensure the safety of Chun Fuxing, Chen Daoxian took out a 3-star Taoist team to protect the Taoism for him. Who? At the moment when the entire army of this world demon team was wiped out, there was an earth-shattering roar from the country and the country. Even if he was 100 miles away, Chun Fuxing could feel the anger in the roar. Soon, a flash of light flew straight towards him. Fear. In Chun Fuxing's heart, a sense of panic suddenly surged. This one is definitely a Daojuan-level world demon. Behind him, the world monsters such as Chi-Scale were also shivering with fright. Because they all recognized it, this man is the lord of the demon countryman. The lizard world demon in front of him is over 10 feet tall, with dark golden scales all over his body. You must know that this is just the normal form of the lord of the Manho kingdom. Once the world demon recovers its demon body, it will skyrocket in size, just like a human cultivator casting a magic elephant. Perhaps it was because of his vigilance that Chun Fuxing would abolish the most elite world demon team under his command in a single encounter. The demon lord of the wild roar country did not dare to be careless at all, and showed his true demon body directly in front of Chan Fuxing. As the opponent's true demon body was revealed, a world demon with a figure of several thousand feet appeared in front of Chan Fuxing. This is a huge lizard, and its limbs stomped directly into the wild roaring demon kingdom, no matter how many lizard world demons were buried under its feet. Yunxiao floated around its body, and its golden child hole stared at the golden light spot in front of Chan Fuxing, and then its body trembled slightly. Who are you? The giant lizard babbled. It's scared. When it cast the source world projection and saw clearly the spot of light in front of Chan Fuxing, it was afraid. A full 1,000 one-star soldiers. Although the shape of these one-star Taoist soldiers is very strange, the breath on them cannot be faked. Who is this person? The Lord of Manho Kingdom was madly filial in his heart, and he remembered that he had never offended any strong human race. In fact, not all the demons want to go to Liangjiyuan to fight. For example, the 4 demon kingdoms and the barbaric Roar country located in the wilderness demon domain. If there is no such thing as the demon court, whether it is the 4 big demon kingdoms or the roaring demon kingdom, they are unwilling to intervene in the battle of Liangjiyuan. Although the strength of the demon side is far superior to the human monks, it does not mean that the barbaric demon country is stronger than the human monks. The Lord of Manho Yaogua knew in his heart that once it really entered the battlefield in the future, it would be nothing more than an advanced cannon fodder. How could it be so refreshing to be a hegemon in Manho Yaogua? It was not until the envoy of the demon court came to the door, which was both a lure and a threat, that it compromised and agreed to join the demon court. Suddenly thought of something, Lord Manho seemed to grab the last straw and shouted, "You can't kill me, I am from Yaoting. If you kill me, Yaoting will never let you go." When Chan Fuxing heard it mention Yaoting, he suddenly became angry. "Yes," Chan Fuxing said coldly. After that, he waved his hand directly, and saw that the insect soldiers, which were originally the size of a grain of rice, had skyrocketed, becoming larger than the spirit boat that Chan Fuxing used to ride. Afterwards, these insect soldiers roared and rushed towards the lizard realm demon. https:// Chapter 463. Twin Lakes Island. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. Chan Daoxian looked at the purple-colored purple thunder skyfire in front of him, and bit by bit devoured the last golden crow shard in his hand, and his breath rose again. Phew! Devouring 11 pieces of golden crow in a row, the transformation finally succeeded. There was a hint of joy in Chan Daoxian's eyes. Several years have passed since the establishment of the Northern Immortal Alliance. During this time, Chan Daoxian completely integrated the various sects in the northwest, as well as the intricate forces of the Xiuxian family. At least on the bright side, in this northwestern frontier, no cultivator dared to stand up and defy the decision of the Northern Immortal Alliance. This can be seen from the fact that the Spirit Stone coins officially replaced the Spirit Stones, the Power of Good Fortune, and various other spirits, and became the only legal currency in the northwest frontier. Although there were some clan forces who did not know whether to live or die in the process of promoting the Spirit Stone coins, they were strongly opposed, but they were all suppressed by Chan Daoxian. In the face of absolute force, everyone has only one way to accept it. After all, the world of immortal cultivation is the most important thing about strength. Chan Daoxian's strength is strong enough. Naturally, no one dares to oppose him. After solving the currency problem of the Northern Immortal League, what Chan Daoxian will rectify next is the spiritual vein problem of the Northern Immortal League. Well known. Whether it is to refine the Spirit Stone into the Power of Good Fortune, or use the Spirit Stone as a transaction currency, it is actually a great waste of the value of the Spirit Stone. The real function of the Spirit Stone is to nurture the spirit veins. Only in this way can the effect of the Spirit Stone be maximized. Generally speaking, 100,000 spiritual stones can breed a first-order spiritual vein, which is enough for 100 chi refining cultivators to practice. And a third-order spiritual vein costs tens of millions of spiritual stones. Compared with the huge reserves in the Spirit Stone mine, this little bit of Spirit Stone is not even a drop in the bucket. But in the past, these Spirit Stone mines were all controlled by the cultivators and the major sections. And the powers of the major immortals and sects are all high-level monks. For high-level monks, the role of Spirit Stones can almost be ignored. For them, The only function of the Spirit Stone is to refine the power of creation. Therefore, in addition to sending out a part of the Spirit Stones to the market for low-level monks to trade, most of the Spirit Stones are stored by them as raw materials for refining the power of creation. Although this move is beneficial to these high-level monks, it is undoubtedly a great waste and injustice to the bottom-level monks. It is clear that 10 million spiritual stones can breed a third-order spiritual vein, which can supply a Zifu cultivator and dozens of foundation-building cultivators, but these high-level monks are not willing to take out the spiritual stones to breed the spiritual veins. Chen Daoxian didn't understand at first, until Fei Chenxue said, "If the scattered cultivator has mastered a lot of spiritual veins, how can the sect deal with it?" When he heard this sentence, he completely woke up. It turned out that the high-level monks of the major sects were not completely selfish, but were afraid that the rise of loose cultivators would threaten their own rule. Whether ordinary or cultivator, the ruler's priority must be his own ruling power, and nothing else. But from Chen Daoxuan's point of view, was he afraid that the rise of loose cultivators would threaten him? If you change to the past, you may be a little scared. But when he read The Inheritance of the Worm Puppet of the Qianji Temple, and the worm puppet production line developed by the Chan Family Magical Instrument Research Institute, he was not afraid at all. In the past, the senior leaders of the major sects were worried about the fact that the cultivation base of the loose cultivator was high and the strength was strong, which would bring great instability. But Chen Daoxian was confident and assured that even if the Northern Immortal League's scattered cultivators became stronger in the future, they would not pose too much threat to him. He dared to be so sure, and naturally he had the confidence. As a result, Chen Daoxian decided that while cultivating a large number of spiritual veins in the northwest, a school of immortality was established on top of these spiritual veins. That's right, he wants to replicate the Chan family's model of cultivating monks to the entire Northern Immortal League. One of the benefits of cultivating monks from an early age is to instill loyalty education in these monks. Let me ask, how likely is it that a cultivator will betray the Northern Immortal Alliance when he grows up? Even if there are such white-eyed wolves, the number must be very small. On the contrary, in the past, the heavily exploitative governance methods of the major sects caused the loose cultivators to resent the major sections. However, although these loose cultivators hated the major sects and the immortal family in their hearts, they suffered from lack of strength and were unable to resist, so they could only resign. This is also the reason why loose cultivators never work hard for Zhongmen and Xiuxian families, because they have no reason to work hard. The sect disciples and the monks of the Xiuxian family looked down on the loose cultivators, but they didn't know that the loose cultivators also hated them in their hearts. This point, when Chen Daoxian was weak at the beginning, he had deep feelings. In addition to establishing immortal cultivation schools in the major spiritual meridians, Chen Daoxian is not afraid of the greatest confidence in the rebellion of scattered cultivation, which naturally comes from absolute strength. According to Chen Daoxuan's vision, he has two purposes in establishing immortal schools in the Northwest in the future. The first purpose is naturally to enhance the overall strength of the Northern Immortal League and weaken the influence of the Northern Immortal League's sects and families. The second purpose, he needs a lot of talent. The talents here not only refer to powerful cultivators, but also more top-level refiners like Chen Daoqiu. In fact, as the process of industrialization continues to bring surprises to Chen Daoxian, he has gradually doubted whether his personal strength can suppress everything. Although he went all the way, he relied on his own strength to suppress everything. But always relying on his personal strength, he can suppress it for a while but also for a lifetime. Even if he can subdue the northwestern sects in the future, he will subdue the major immortal regions and even the central province, and even subdue the top forces in the entire Liangjiyuan. Can he conquer the real demon world? Impossible. Even if he breaks through to the realm of Mahayana true immortal, it is absolutely impossible. The real demon world has been swallowing up the Phoenix meteor world for countless years, and its underlying strength is much stronger than when the two worlds collided. These backgrounds will inevitably lead to the birth of a considerable number of real fairy-level demons in the real demon world. In the ancient times, the most prosperous period of the Phoenix meteor realm failed to win the Phoenix meteor realm, let alone now. Not only Chen Daoxian but in fact, all the top forces in Tianzuan City are well aware of this truth. If there is one word to describe the current Fengyun realm, it would be lingering. It's just that its lingering time will be very long, longer than the lifespan of heavenly venerate transcending tribulation, so no one will feel anxious. After all, when the real demon world completely engulfs the Phoenix meteor world, the people in this world are afraid that they will already be sitting down. But others are not anxious. Chen Daoxian is anxious. Compared with other monks who have no hope of becoming a Mahayana true immortal, Chen Daoxian, who has a profound background, never doubts whether he can break through to the Mahayana true immortal in the future. However, if he breaks through to the Mahayana true immortal in the future, the first threat he will face is the true demon realm. The so-called sky is falling and there is a tall person, and at that time he will be the tallest person in the Fengyun world. Who will he bear if he doesn't? However, alone he can't stand it. This point is not that Chen Daoxian grows others' ambition and destroys his own prestige. As he learned more and more about the war between the two worlds in the ancient times, his confidence became weaker and weaker. In the ancient times, so many Mahayana true immortals failed to win the true demon realm. And now he is the only one? Chen Daoxian felt a chill in his heart every time he thought of this. Even now, if he was asked to single out hundreds of thousands of monks of the same rank without the help of Taoist soldiers, he would feel guilty. What's more, the further you practice, the more difficult it will be to crush the heroes in the same realm. Because there is no mediocre person who can cultivate to the true immortal of Mahayana. Every Mahayana true immortal can only be created after countless opportunities, and they are originally favored by the luck of heaven and earth. On his own, how could Chen Daoxian be like slaughtering chickens and slaughtering dogs? Unless his cultivation is even better. However, in the lower realm, the Mahayana true immortal is already the limit, and Chen Daoxian wants to break through to a higher realm unless he ascends to the upper realm. Here is another paradox. If Chen Daoxian can fly to the upper realm, does he still need to fight hard against the real demon realm? He just ran for his life. Give up the Chen family, give up everything in the Fengyun world, and use the ascension to escape directly. It's not that Chen Daoxian didn't think about it and he was shaken, but in the end he gave up running for his life. There is no reason, because running for his life runs counter to the Tao in his heart. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian put away Zile Tianhua, stood up and stretched. It takes a long time to refine 11 pieces of golden crow in a row. Just purchasing this batch of golden crow fragments consumes a lot of the power of creation. It is also a loss that Chen Daoxian has seized the spirit stone mines in the entire northwest, and there is no shortage of spirit stones in his hands. In addition, the Qingmu Ding can extract a large amount of the power of good fortune. Today, the power of creation that other high-level cultivators regard as treasures, in the eyes of Chen Daoxian, is just a set of numbers. Not to mention that Chen Daoxian is ready to open up the real demon world. The demons of the real demon world don't need such things as spirit stones. In fact, the cultivation of the world monster only requires spirituality, not spiritual energy and other cultivation resources. If it weren't for the fact that the demons had to feed on the human monks, the two could coexist to some extent. But their characteristics of feeding on the human race are destined to be a life-and-death situation for both parties. As soon as he stood up, Chen Daoxian's consciousness moved slightly, and then he disappeared into the secret room. Out of the secret room, Chen Daoxian stood in the courtyard of Xianfu, looking at Chen Fuxing who came from the sky, the corner of his mouth raised slightly. He sent Chen Fuxing to the real demon world to test the strength of the insect soldiers accumulated during this period, but he did not expect the other party to come back so soon. Fuxing. Seeing Chen Daoxian, Chen Fuxing quickly lowered his escape light, bowed respectfully towards Chen Daoxian, and said, "Fuxing sees the patriarch." Chen Daoxian waved his hand casually, indicating that the other party does not need to be more polite, and said, "How is it, heard?" Chen Fuxing was about to take out the magic gourd containing 1,001 star insect soldiers, and then took out a shadow stone from the storage ring and handed it over. Chen Daoxian took the gourd and the shadow stone. He put away the insect soldier directly and activated the photo stone. Immediately, the scene of the insect soldiers showing great power in the Manho kingdom appeared in Chen Daoxian's field of vision. First, a pair of real monarch-level demons of a dozen people were directly swallowed, and then the king of Manho kingdom directly killed Chen Fuxing. But even if the other party reveals the real body of the world demon, and uses the magic power of the source world to swallow. He wants to swallow all these insect soldiers. Chen Daoxian looked at the monitor lizard of several thousand feet and swallowed the insect soldier with a size of several hundred feet, and sneered, "Stupid, really." As soon as Chen Daoxian's words fell, the monitor lizard, which was several thousand meters tall, rolled wildly on the ground. With its huge body, the barbarian Roar Kingdom was directly crushed into ruins by him. But neither Chen Daoxian nor Chen Fuxing cared about it. Next moment, the Daojuan-level lizard world monster immediately stopped moving. And then, a golden worm soldier burst out of its body. Then the second one, the third one. As more and more insect soldiers drilled out of his body, the body of this lizard world monster is also decreasing crazily. In the end, all its demon bodies, including the source world, were swallowed up by the insect soldiers. Chen Daoxian found that after swallowing a Daojuan-level world demon, there were several insect soldiers that ate the most, and the breath on his body seemed to be stronger. It's just that there are too many insect soldiers who eat this lizard world monster. There are a full 1,000, so their enhanced breath is not obvious. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian didn't say anything. Insect soldiers have the characteristics of devouring evolution, which Chen Daoxian knew early on. He has seen devouring, but he has not seen evolution yet. Of course, Chen Daoxian also knew in his heart that if he only devoured a Daojuan-level world demon, he wanted to make 1,000 one-star insect soldiers evolve, which was undoubtedly a fantasy. If the insect soldiers were so perverted, Chen Daoxian would directly take these 1,000 insect soldiers to sweep the entire real demon world. Well done! After reading the entire picture recorded on the photo stone, Chen Daoxian smiled and patted Chen Fuxing on the shoulder. Hearing Chen Daoxian's praise, Chen Fuxing smiled, but suddenly he remembered something, and quickly took out a storage ring from his pocket, handed it over and said, "By the way, Patriarch, this is when I pass through the 4 great demon kingdoms, their newly mined somite. I know that the real body of the Patriarch is imminent, so I brought it back to you specially." Taking over the storage ring in Chen Fuxing's hand, the expression on Chen Daoxian's face became even more satisfied. "You have a heart." Chen Fuxing shook his head. "The Patriarch must not say that. These are what I should do as a junior." He paused. "I know that my strength is low. I am neither good at refining weapons like Uncle Daochu, nor proficient in family management like Aunt Dalian. I can only do a little for you, the Patriarch." Seeing that he looked a little lonely, Chen Daoxian comforted. "Fuxing, I know that you have always wanted to protect the Chen family, but you feel that your strength is weak and not enough to protect the Chen family. Your heart I understand. However, as you have seen, not only my Chen family, but the entire Northern Immortal League will usher in a change in the future. In the future, perhaps a cultivator's personal strength will no longer be the decisive factor in determining the rise and fall of a power." Hearing this, Chen Fuxing was shocked. But then, he thought of the terrifying power of the insect soldiers again, and he couldn't help but be silent for a while. He knew that what the Patriarch said was not nonsense. The emergence of insect soldiers has indeed broken the status quo that monks can sweep away everything by relying solely on personal force. The most important thing is that Chen Fuxing knows that these insect soldiers can be manufactured in batches, and its manufacturing cost is much lower than that of ordinary Taoist soldiers. https:// Chapter 464. Phoenix Fallen Realm Zhongzhou. As one of the few first-class forces in Zhongzhou, the Situ family occupied an extremely vast territory in Zhongzhou. Within the sphere of influence of his family, there are endless high-level spiritual veins, 7th order and even 8th order spiritual veins abound, which can be called a fairyland. The clan of the Situ family is located on a 9th order spiritual vein. This day, the 2 Taoists of the Situ family, who had escaped from the northwest and returned for several years, finally had the opportunity to meet the ancestor Situ. I saw 2 figures hunched over, respectfully waiting outside a simple and unpretentious cave. "Come in." A voice came from inside the cave. When the 2 heard old ancestor Situs' voice, they first breathed a sigh of relief, and then their hearts tightened again. The cooperation between the 2 of them and Xiao Yuhua is regarded as a private job. In fact, the ancestors didn't know. Originally, the 2 felt that with their strength, It should be effortless to take all the northwestern sects into their pockets. But who would have thought that not only did they fail to conquer the various sects in the northwest, but they damaged a primordial spirit Taoist. It's just fortunate that the damaged Dao Jun is not a member of the Situ family, otherwise this time they would not be as simple as asking for guilt. Inside the cave, seeing their ancestors, the two of them fell to their knees without saying a word, and shouted, "Ancestor, I made a big mistake, and I asked the ancestors to punish me." After all, the two buried their heads deeply on the ground. Half an hour. Ancestor Sidus' voice entered the ears of the two of them. "Get up." The two looked at each other and then slowly stood up. Old ancestor we. The emaciated Dao Jun of the Situ family explained the details of Xiao Yua's invitation to the two of them. After listening, Ancestor Situ shook his head, short-sighted. Yes. The two bowed their heads and dared not speak. The northwestern land is so barren, even if you shoot it down, how much income will it bring to our Situ family every year? Old Ancestor Situ said lightly. Besides, the Tianzuan city is strictly ordered, and the major forces are not allowed to invade each other. Are you doing this to bring disaster to the family? Hearing this, the two immediately knelt down and said quickly, "I can't wait." That's it. Seeing the sincere and fearful appearances of the two of them, Situ Ancestor waved his hand, but there are several small sects in remote places. There is no need to mention this matter, since the other party has a 3-star Taoist team, the fairy weapons in their hands. You don't have to covet it, it's not worth the loss. Follow the decree of the ancestors. The two nodded hurriedly. At this time the emaciated Situ family Dao Jun seemed to think of something, raised his head and said, "Old ancestor, but that Xiao Yuhua." Ancestor Situ thought for a while, then shook his head and said, "As for that Xiao Yuhua, he is about to serve in Liangjiuan this time. It's uncertain whether he can come back alive. Even if he can come back alive, he has suffered many casualties. In Wuji Xianmen the background is completely lost, just relying on him alone. His future achievements are bound to be limited, so don't pay attention to him." "Yes, go." Old Ancestor Situ waved his hand. As soon as he got out of the customs, he heard this bad news, and Patriarch Situ was quite upset. The two knew they had made a mistake, cupped their hands, pouted and slowly exited the cave. Twin Lakes Island. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. The so-called happy events were repeated. Chen Daoxian just got a lot of black crystals from Chen Fusheng, and Qin Zhan sent him a lot of resources to break through the Yuanshan period. In an elegant courtyard. Completed the job description to Chen Daoxian. Qin Zhan took a sip of the spirit tea, smacking his lips and complaining, "You are quite leisurely, and you overwhelmed my senior sister with everything from the Xianmeng." Chen Daoxian glared. "No big or small, call me brother-in-law." "Hey!" Qin Zhan slapped the teacup on the table, but saw Chen Daoxian squinting at him. Do not know why, Qin Zhan felt a great pressure enveloped him. Immediately, he was suddenly shocked, and his condescending appearance immediately restrained, and a silly smirk appeared on his mouth. "Brother-in-law, good brother-in-law, it's just a joke, don't be angry, don't be angry." Chen Daoxian recovered his momentum. How is the construction of the Xianmeng station? The Northern Immortal Alliance is the most powerful force that spans several sects, and has countless families under its command. Naturally, its headquarters cannot be selected on a small island in Wangxinghai. Even if the sect of Qianyuan Jianzong was used as the headquarters of the Northern Immortal League, it seemed a bit awkward. After all, Wanxinghai's resources are too poor to compare with Xianyanzhu. Although the sects in the northwest cannot compare with Zhongzhou, their resources are much richer than Wanxinghai. Therefore, Chen Daoxian and concubine Chenxue discussed several times, and decided to build the headquarters of the Xianmeng at the Zongmen station of the original Qianji Temple. The Qianji Temple is the main sect in the northwest, and its sect station is built on an 8th-order spiritual vein. This 8th-order spiritual vein is also one of the only 3 8th-order spiritual veins in the northwest. Even the Qianyuan sword sect did not have such a high-grade spiritual vein. The further the spiritual veins are cultivated, the more terrifying the consumption of spiritual stones. The 3rd-order spiritual veins can be cultivated with tens of millions of spirit stones, while the 5th-order spiritual veins require 1 billion spirit stones. And the eighth order spiritual veins need not trillions of spiritual stones, but trillions. Of course, the so-called trillions of spiritual stones are only a rough estimate, but it is roughly around this number. Adding all the spiritual stones of the Chen family together, it is only about 200 trillion, which is still far from the level of 10,000 trillion spiritual stones. And this is just the background of a second-rate sect. It can be seen that the Chen family is only a nouveau riche at best in front of these real big forces. The background has always been lacking in the Chen family. But there is no way. This thing needs to be accumulated over time, and the Chen family has developed so far. The most lack is time. Whether it is the northwestern sects or the first-class forces in the land of Zhongzhou, which one does not have the heritage of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. What about the Chen family? It has only been a few hundred years since the cultivator of the ascended character generation. The most important thing is that most of the time before, the Chen family was just a small family that refined qi. In this way, the development time of the Chen family has so far been less than 100 years. In 100 years, even if the Chen family accumulated wealth 100 times faster than other forces, it would not be comparable to those sects with tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. When Chen Daoxian agreed to marry concubine Chen Xue, he also saw the inadequacy of the Chen family. If you rely on the Chen family to develop slowly, even if the wind is smooth, it will take at least 1,000 years or even longer to develop to a force as large as the current Northern Immortal League. But Chen Daoxian couldn't wait. The sword hanging over his head in the real demon world will be cut off at some point, and he must do everything possible to grow the Chen family. Marriage with Qianyuan Jianzong is only one of his methods. In the courtyard, facing Chen Daoxian's inquiry, Qin Zhan said sternly, reporting to the alliance leader, the construction of the headquarters has basically come to an end. Oh yes, the teleportation array of the headquarters has also been connected with the major sects and the main immortal clans. In the future, it will connect with more fairy cities. Using the teleportation array to connect the forces under his command is what Chen Daoxian has always wanted to do. Previously limited by the lack of resources on hand, this has not been done. Now that there is the Qingmuding factory, the resources are only a number for the Northern Immortal League. Chen Daoxian naturally wants to put this matter on the agenda. Besides, Tianyunzong is good at building space teleportation arrays. With Tianyunzong's contribution, the Immortal Alliance can build a piece of iron from the forces under its hands only by spending resources. Thanks for your hard work. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction. In the past 3 years, the construction of the Xianmeng headquarters has always been the concern of Fei Chenxue. Even for the matter of the Immortal Alliance, Fei Chenxue put aside the matter of the Qianyuan sword sect. If it weren't for the fact that concubine Chenxue had already taken control of Qianyuan sword sect, there would definitely be people who would object to her doing so. But now, her husband is not only the #1 monk in the Northwest Territory, but also the leader of the Northern Immortal Alliance, and he is also the true monarch on the second floor of the World Territory. In Qianyuan sword sect, concubine Chengshu's power was stronger than that of the sect masters of all dynasties, and no one dared to disobey her. Fei Chenxue was worried about the Xianmeng headquarters, and Chen Daoxian was actually more worried. The promotion of spirit stone coins, the mining of spirit stone mines in the northwest, the cultivation of spirit veins, and most importantly, the construction of a large-scale cultivation school. Chen Daoxian has always believed that the foundation of industrial development is education. The same is true for the development of industry in the world of immortals. A group of monks who have not received a good education can only do some simple things in the factory, and even the most low-end magic weapon refining, the loose cultivators can't do it. In order to solve this problem in the past, the Chen family specially opened a vocational education for loose cultivation in Guanhai Xiancheng, and vigorously promoted it. This turned Guanhai Xiancheng into an industrial fairy city. Today, the Chen family or Chen Daoxian's rule has expanded to the entire northwest. Although the resources of this area cannot be compared with the land of Zhongzhou in terms of land area, the entire northwest land is actually not much smaller than that of Zhongzhou. Because the northwest land is notoriously vast and sparsely populated, unlike the land of Zhongzhou, where a large number of monks gather together, it looks extremely prosperous. Not hard, not hard. Qin Zhan smiled, alliance leader. I have also delivered the things, so I will go back to the sect first. Chen Daoxian nodded slightly. Immediately, Qin Zhan's figure disappeared instantly. I didn't expect the space teleportation array to be built so quickly. Watching Qin Zhan leave, Chen Daoxian muttered to himself. Immediately, he remembered something, and his figure disappeared in the immortal mansion. Next moment, Chen Daoxian's figure appeared on the teleportation array in Guanhai Xiancheng. Seeing Chen Daoxian, the disciples of the Chen family who were in charge of guarding the teleportation array suddenly became smart and hurriedly bowed to salute. Meet the patriarch. Don't be too polite. Chen Daoxian waved his hand and saw that the Chen family child who was in charge of guarding the teleportation formation straightened up. Chen Daoxian said again. Let me ask you, is this teleportation formation connected to the Xianmeng headquarters? Hearing this, the cultivator of the Chen family was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, It's connected, it was connected a few days ago. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian immediately understood the cause and effect. He smiled. This little girl. Chen Daoxian finally knew why Qin Zhan suddenly visited. If he guessed correctly, it must be Fei Chenxue who called him here. Because he and Fei Chenxue and his wife have been busy with things in the Immortal Alliance for the past few years, they have been together less and more apart during this time. For a newly married couple, it was indeed a bit of a torment. But there is no way, there are too many things established by the Northern Immortal Alliance. Although in name, the Northern Immortal Alliance is just an alliance formed by various sects and the Xiao immortal family in the northwest, but in fact the power of this alliance is not trivial. According to the attitude of Tianyinzong and Spirit Insect Valley, the Northern Immortal League will be their superior organization in the future. Even the two major sects of the victorious party agreed with the Northern Immortal Alliance. As for the defeated Xianyang sect and Qingwei Taoism, let alone. During this time, Qin Zhan was in charge of transforming the defeated Xianyang sect and Qingwei Taoist sect. He came here this time, except to convey his thoughts on behalf of concubine Qinxue. Another important reason is to report to Chen Daoxian the transformation of the two sections. As the defeated party, although the suzerain of the Xianyang sect and the Qingwei Taoist sect was slaughtered, there are still a large number of Yuanying Xinjuan and low-level disciples in the sect. It is impossible for Chen Daoxian to kill all of these people. After all, these people are also monks from the Northwest land, belonging to various forces in the Northwest. Rather than killing these people directly, Chen Daoxian hoped that they could exert the last bit of value. Even if the nascent soul cultivator is given out to refine the power of good fortune, what about the bottom cultivator entering the factory to make screws? Of course, Chen Daoxian didn't really want them to do these low-end jobs. In fact, as the disciples of the Xianqing Dao League, the monks of the two major sects were much more useful than the loose cultivators of the same level. For example, Ukanshu. Calm disciples of these sects are far more proficient than ordinary sect practitioners, such as weapon refining, alchemy, talisman making, formation techniques, etc. Even in combat power, they are stronger than the loose cultivators of the same level. These elite monks Chen Daoxian did not want to give up directly. Right now, the Northern Immortal Alliance has just been built, and it is when a large number of talents are needed. Chen Daoxian will not directly push these useful talents out. Certainly. The premise is that these people can be used by him, otherwise he can only be cruel. Thoughts turned, Chen Daoxian said to the cultivator of the Chen family who was in charge of guarding, I am going to the headquarters of the Xianmeng. Yes, Patriarch. The monk lowered his head and controlled the teleportation array. Next moment, the formation patterns on the teleportation array all lit up, and then Chen Daoxian's figure disappeared on the teleportation array. Northern Immortal League headquarters. Chen Daoxian's figure instantly appeared on the teleportation array. After 3 years, Chen Daoxian used the 3 major sects, countless immortal clans and scattered cultivators, and finally established the headquarters of the Northern Immortal Alliance on the original site of the Qianji Temple. For the construction of the Northern Immortal League headquarters, Chen Daoxian handed over the full responsibility to Fei Chenxue, which shows how much he attaches importance to it. As soon as he set foot on the Xianmeng headquarters, Chen Daoxian only felt a slight dizziness hit him. Hey, this aura concentration! Chen Daoxian was shocked. You must know that he is the real king of the world, and his strength is the highest in the Northwest. With such a cultivation base, he was suddenly slightly dizzy by the impact of this spiritual energy. If ordinary monks practice here, How quickly will they enter the country? Is this the 8th order spiritual vein? Chen Daoxian muttered. Click to download the app of this site. Massive novels read for free. Chapter 465. Early morning. Squeak. Chen Daoxian opened the window and overlooked the building complex of the Xianmeng headquarters. It's spectacular. Chen Daoxian praised. To be able to get such praise from your husband, it's not a waste of time for the concubine to supervise the work here day and night for 3 years. Beside Chen Daoxian, Fei Chenxue wearing a light gauze said with a smile. Heard. Chen Daoxian turned around, gently took her into his arms, buried his head in her hair, took a deep breath and said, Swear, thank you for your hard work. Fei Chenxue buried her small head in Chen Daoxian's chest and said nothing. Just when the two were warm, Chen Daoxian suddenly raised his head. Qinlang, what's wrong? Chen Daoxian frowned and said. Qin Zhan imprisoned the remnants of Zhuaniangzong and Qingwei Taoism here? Fei Chenxue nodded. He said that we will soon move into the headquarters, and only here can we suppress these remaining true monarchs. After speaking, Fei Chengse paused. Qinlang, how do you want to deal with these people? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian pondered for a moment and said, It's definitely not possible to let them go directly, but it would be a pity to kill them all. To be honest, Chen Daoxian also had some headaches for these people. At present, not only the Xianyang sect and the Qingwei Taoist sect have surrendered, but also the countless cultivator family forces and scattered cultivators under the Xianqing Taoist alliance. Chen Daoxian can directly slaughter the monks of the Xianqing Dao League, but in this way, the once affiliated forces of the Xianqing Dao League will inevitably endanger themselves, which is not conducive to the stability of the Northern Immortal League. Right now, the Northern Immortal Alliance unites all the forces in the Northwest, and what needs to be done most is to appease people's hearts, not to engage in massacres. Because these forces have all surrendered to Chen Daoxian, if he kills again, it will inevitably leave the impression of cruelty and bloodthirsty. As a ruler, once this impression is left on the ruled, it is not a good thing. Especially for loose cultivators. That's right, scattered cultivators can't fight against the Northern Immortal Alliance, but they can choose to leave the Northern Immortal Alliance. No matter how strong Chen Daoxian is, it is impossible to tie the feet of all the loose cultivators of the Northern Immortal League and prevent them from leaving. Never mind, Chen Daoxian shook his head. We'll talk about this later. The most urgent task now is that you and I break through the primordial spirit stage. Speaking, Chen Daoxian looked directly at Fei Chenxue with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, when Fei Chenxue heard this, there was a hint of joy in her beautiful eyes. Qinlang, you mean? Well, my demon god's fire has completely transformed into Zilei Tianhua, and I can condense Zhu Rong's true body. Great! Hearing this, Fei Chenxue was simply happier than breaking through the primordial spirit stage. Chen Daoxian has overcome 2 of the 3 major obstacles from Yuanying breakthrough to Yuanshan period. Now only the condensed indestructible real body is left, and you can try to break through to the primordial spirit stage. With his background, once Zhu Rong's real body is condensed, he can almost be said to be 100% certain to break through to the primordial spirit stage, and there is no possibility of failure. Fei Chenxue is the same. In fact, she was able to break through the primordial spirit stage 3 years ago, but in order to build the Xianmeng headquarters, she has been suppressing her cultivation and did not choose to break through. Today our husband and wife will enter the Yuanshan stage together. Fei Chenxue nodded excitedly. Seeing Fei Chengxi's excited appearance, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, The 8th order spiritual meridian is extraordinary. Not to mention this spiritual meridian used to break through the primordial spirit stage, I am afraid it is enough to break through the tribulation transcendence stage. Fei Chenxue smiled and said, I don't dare to say it during the tribulation transcendence period, but it's definitely not a problem to use it to break through the primordial spirit stage. Chen Daoxian nodded in agreement. He had just stepped into this place before, and he actually felt a slight dizziness. This was because the spiritual energy was too strong, and he was a little uncomfortable. You must know that he is a cultivator of the nascent soul, and even he is a little uncomfortable, and the discomfort of the low-level cultivator will only be worse. In fact, this phenomenon is also called drunk spirit in the practice world. It refers to the instinctive physiological response of a monk who has never been exposed to a high concentration of aura environment for the first time. It's just that this physiological response will gradually become smaller and even disappear as the cultivator's cultivation improves. Chan Daoxuan's cultivation level was as high as the nascent soul stage, and he still felt slightly dizzy, which showed the high concentration of spiritual energy in the headquarters of the Northern Immortal League. Northern Immortal League headquarters. Chen Daoxian and Fei Chunxue chose to retreat at the same time. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian opened up a lot of resources brought to him by Qin Zhan and Chen Fuxing. He first placed all Sombra in the same storage ring. To break through the primordial spirit stage, the last thing he needs to accomplish is to condense the indestructible real body. As for the soul, he had already used Tianhua Yulu to raise it to the limit of the nascent soul. Chen Daoxian finally discovered that, compared to cultivating magic techniques, the use of resources and treasures is the kingly way. Breathe in for a moment. Chen Daoxian immediately called out Zilei Tianhua, and then he poured out the black crystal from the storage ring. Crash dash, the black crystal was dumped directly on the Zilei Tianhua from the storage ring. This time, the Zilei Tianhua was not swallowing the black crystal to improve itself. Perhaps for the completely transformed Zilei Tianhua, the black crystal has no effect on it. Countless black crystals rushed towards the purple thunder skyfire like a tide, and were instantly refined into nothingness by it. Do not. Accurately speaking, it is not nothingness, because Chen Daoxian can perceive that there is an indescribable aura that is rushing towards his body from the Zilei Tianhua. This breath is very similar to the breath pass from the previous demon god's fire refining blood marrow, but it is not the same. Chen Daoxian didn't know what this breath was. He only felt that he was stuck at the peak of the blood-dripping realm and became stronger in madness. Almost in the blink of an eye, his physical body crossed the peak of the blood-dripping realm and rushed towards a higher level, divided according to the level of refinement. From the blood-dripping realm to condensing the indestructible real body, there is actually another level, that is, the level of integrating the indestructible true meaning. Chen Daoxuan's current physical body is at this level. It's just that his flesh body is not infused with the true meaning of immortality, but is infused with an indescribable aura. This breath is more pure than the true meaning of immortality, and it does not have any side effects. It was as if Zilei Tianhua had completely purified the black crystal after refining it. In the secret room, with the influx of this breath, Chen Daoxuan's physical body continued to grow stronger, and his body shape continued to expand. He was sitting on the futon, but his body was still growing taller. He doesn't use the magical powers of magic images now, just simply getting taller. 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. Even sitting upright, his height continued to grow. This phenomenon has never occurred when the cultivator condensed other immortal bodies. Chen Daoxian doesn't know why, so he can only attribute it to the difference of Dutian demon god real body. This is indeed the case. Chen Daoxuan's energy and resources expended cultivating Zhu Rong's real body is much more than cultivating other body exercises. But all these have passed, and the only thing he cares about now is how much growth it can bring to his strength once Zhu Rong's real body is initially condensed successfully. Chapter 466. In the secret room, Chen Daoxuan's image at the moment has completely changed. I saw that his whole body was covered with purple scales, and he looked like a beast with a human face. In addition, his purple thunder skyfire also transformed into 2 dragons of flames. One left and one right. He was trampled under his feet, and the purple flame dragon body wrapped around Chen Daoxuan's body, complementing the purple scales on his body, showing a unique beauty of desolation and desolation. Call. The unique aura finally stopped instilling into his body. Chen Daoxian slowly opened his eyes. The first time he opened his eyes, he found that his field of vision had become higher, and Chen Daoxian was not panicked. He knew that this must be the result of condensing Zhu Rong's real body and his body soaring. Although condensing the immortal body is different from casting the Dharma image, the effect of casting the Dharma image on the basis of the immortal body will be even more amazing. Although Chen Daoxian had already been promoted to the 2nd floor of the world realm, he had also mastered the magical powers of the law. But he has never used the Dharma image to fight against other monks, because he is very clear that without condensing the indestructible real body, his physical body is too weak, and he can't beat those monks with strong physical bodies. But things are different now. Although Chen Daoxian didn't know how strong the immortal body condensed by other cultivators was, he was sure that it was definitely not as good as the real body of Zhu Rong condensed by him. The strength of the cultivator's condensed immortal body can be roughly judged by the number of black crystals consumed. Ordinary immortal avatars can generally be condensed by consuming thousands of black crystals. As for Chen Daoxian's real body of Zhu Rong, to be honest, he couldn't figure out how much black crystal was spent. If you count the consumption of the promotion of the fire of the devil, Chen Daoxian can be said to have almost exhausted the minerals of the 5 demon kingdoms by himself. If not counting the consumption of demon god's fire, he also spent nearly half of the reserves of somite. How many black crystals does a black crystaller have? Chen Daoxian is not clear, but it is definitely more than 1 million yuan. In other words, in order to condense the indestructible real body, he spent nearly 1 million black crystals, which is hundreds of thousands of times that of ordinary nascent soul cultivators. It took so many black crystals to initially condense the indestructible real body, which shows how terrifying the resource consumption of the exercises like Dutian Demon God Real Body. After successfully condensing the indestructible real body, Chen Daoxian adjusted his breath slightly and prepared to break through the primordial spirit stage in one go. Now, Chen Daoxian has crossed all the 3 thresholds for breaking through to the Yuanshan stage, and breaking through the Yuanshan stage should be a logical thing for him. But after all, it is a leap of great realm, and Chen Daoxian is still a little nervous. Calm down. Chen Daoxian turned the comprehension stars in the sea of knowledge again, and suddenly his comprehension began to soar. 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. It has been soaring to 110 times, and Chen Daoxian's soaring understanding can be stopped. With the blessing of 110-fold understanding, Chen Daoxian only felt that his cognition of the world had reached another uniqueness. He has a hunch that if he comprehends the laws at this moment, the laws of the Xianhuang realm will inevitably soar wildly. But Chen Daoxian did not do so, because the Xianhuang realm has not turned the sunstar from the virtual to the real. At this moment, the promotion of the realm of the law will only hinder the transformation of the sunstar in the Xianhuang realm from the virtual to the real. The so-called road is a step by step, and a meal is a stutter. The consequences of rushing forward will only be asking for trouble. Chen Daoxian has been asking for trouble several times. If it weren't for his profound background, if he were an ordinary cultivator, his path would have been ruined long ago. But as his cultivation base and the realm of the Great Tao became more and more sophisticated, the price he paid for his mistakes was getting bigger and bigger, and Chen Daoxian had to think twice. It is different from breaking through the nascent soul period. From the Yuaning stage to the Yuanshan stage, the first thing Chen Daoxian felt changed was the transformation of the Yuaning, not the illegal force. His nascent soul was originally only 9 feet tall, but with the broken mirror, his nascent soul flew directly out of the purple mansion, and his height continued to rise. Soon, his nascent soul became indistinguishable from Chen Daoxian and looked like an adult. Not only that, Chen Daoxian also felt that his purple mansion was inexplicably drawn. Chen Daoxian was horrified to find that a black hole suddenly appeared outside his Dantian purple house. Chen Daoxian extended his consciousness and found that this black hole was actually connected to the world he created, Xianhuang realm. Seeing this scene, Chen Daoxian was extremely surprised. Originally in the Yuaning period, although he was also very closely related to the Xianhuang realm, but it is impossible to be so close that Dantian Zifu is directly connected to Xianhuang realm. Wow, wow, wow. With the opening of this black hole, Xianhuang Jie and Chen Daoxian's Dantian Z mansion no longer had any estrangement. The mana in his Dantian Qi Si was completely integrated with the world power of Xianhuang Jie. At this point, his mana finally transformed again. The magic power of Yuaning needs to be integrated with the power of the world created by the monks in order to continue to transform. No wonder all the cultivation insights recorded by the monks in the primordial spirit period say that the world created by the monks is his foundation. Chen Daoxian said silently. At this moment he finally fully understood this sentence. Although he was able to transmit a single thought to the Xianhuang realm during the nascent soul stage, He always felt that there was something missing from the Xianhuang realm. For example, borrowing the power of the world from the Xianhuang realm. Although he can borrow it, it is not as smooth as Yuanshan Daojun. Before Chen Daoxian thought it was because he was not familiar with the power of the Xianhuang world. But now he knew that it wasn't the case at all. Whereas he not familiar with the control of the Xianhuang realm, but the power of the world in the Xianhuang realm is not completely integrated with him. And now, he has truly integrated with the power of the world in the Xianhuang world. Chen Daoxian thought a move. His primordial spirit descended directly into the Xianhuang realm. At this moment he felt that he was omnipotent in the Xianhuang realm. The laws of the whole world and the power of the world can be mobilized by him. If a cultivator breaks into the Xianhuang realm to fight him now, he can completely use the power and laws of the entire world to suppress the opponent. Of course, Chen Daoxian wouldn't do that either. The Xianhuang realm is his foundation. Although introducing the enemy into the Xianhuang realm, he can exert more powerful strength, but it will also bring huge drawbacks. That is, once the Xianhuang realm is destroyed, his path will be seriously damaged. When Qin Zhan fought Yi Tianqi at the beginning, the other party introduced Qin Zhan into his world. As a result, the battle greatly damaged Yi Tianqi's world. Even if Yi Tianqi didn't encounter other things later, he would not have any possibility to break through to the Yuanshan stage. This is the destruction of the world, the impact on the monks. Because the realm of the monks' avenue does not reach the third level of the world, there is no way to use the power of creation to make up for the damage to the world. Therefore, the damage to the world created by the first and second layers of the world often means that one's own path has been exhausted. Because he will not be able to complete the fusion of world power and mana no matter what. The failure to complete this step also means that the cultivator cannot take the crucial step of becoming a primordial spirit cultivator. Xianhuang world. Chen Daoxian's primordial spirit stood high in the sky. As soon as he thought about it, he enveloped the entire Xianhuang realm. When he found the center of the Xianhuang realm, the envoy of the demon court who was suppressed by him, his brows could not help frowning slightly. This demon court messenger, when Chen Daoxian wanted to go to Liangjiyuan at first, sent him to the Demon Slayer Terrace. It's just that the last trip to the two realms was cancelled by him in a hurry, and this demon court messenger has persisted until now. But now realizing the importance of the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian is naturally not going to continue imprisoning the other party here. Think about it. Chen Daoxian teleported and disappeared in place. Next moment, Chen Daoxian appeared in front of the demon court messenger. He looked at the Jinpeng world monster, and saw that the other party was bound by the chains extending out of the void, unable to move at all. Seeing Chen Daoxian suddenly appear in front of it, Jinpeng world demon's eyes were red, and he roared frantically, "Yao Ting will not let you go, never let you go. I promise." Chen Daoxian looked at the other party calmly, and nodded sullenly, "I know." Seeing Chen Daoxian's appearance, Jinpeng world demon felt a little guilty. He interjected sternly, "What do you want to do?" Seeing it like this, Chen Daoxian suddenly laughed. Seeing that Chen Daoxian seemed to be laughing at it, Jinpeng world demon was angry again. "Human monk, what are you laughing at?" "It's nothing, it's just funny." Chen Daoxian paused. "Okay, it's time to send you on your way now." And many more. Jinpeng world demon was completely confused by Chen Daoxian. "Aren't you going to ask me about the demon court? Why didn't you ask?" Chen Daoxian shook his head. "It's not important anymore." "Wait first, aren't you afraid of the demon court's revenge?" The invasion of the Phoenix world by the demon court is a foregone conclusion. What is the point of revenge without revenge? This time the Jinpeng world demon finally panicked, and he could feel that Chen Daoxian really wanted to kill it. I admit it, don't kill me." Jinpeng world demon hurriedly said, "I'll tell you all the news about the demon court, as long as I know it, but only if you make an oath of the great Tao, never cross the river and demolish the bridge to kill me." Seeing that Chen Daoxian was still unmoved, Jinpeng world demon continued, "Okay, let's take a step back, let me tell you the news, you let me go immediately, and I don't need you to take the oath, this is the head office." Chen Daoxian could see that the other party was really anxious, and he laughed again. "I thought you were not afraid of death. You promise?" Chen Daoxian shook his head. "I said it, it's not important anymore." After that, Chen Daoxian raised his hand, and a purple dragon-shaped flame rolled around the Jinping World Demon slightly, and the other party was completely burned into nothingness. Looking at the Jinping World Demon with no bones left, Chen Daoxian was stunned. The consumption of mana by this purple thunder fire is too terrifying. Although it was only for a short time, Chen Daoxian found that half of his mana was taken away by Zilei Tianhua. Now that Chen Daoxian has broken through to the Yuanshan stage, his mana is completely integrated with the power of the world in the Xianhuang realm. That is to say, the power of the world in the Xianhuang realm was directly consumed by nearly half of the attack from the Zilei Tianhua just now. Chen Daoxian could clearly feel that the entire Geshuan Huangjia was a little darkened. This purple thunder skyfire must not be used again before the Xianhuang realm expands. Chen Daoxian secretly warned himself. Although he has long known that Zilei Tianhua, as the calamity fire of Tianzuan, must be extremely terrifying. But he still did not expect that the consumption would be so amazing. Fortunately, it is not too late to know now. If he doesn't know about it in the future and uses the purple thunder skyfire directly in battle, it will be a lot of fun. Chen Daoxian's Xianhuang realm itself has some congenital deficiencies. Being squeezed so frantically by Zilei Tianhua, it might cause the Xianhuang realm to collapse directly. You must know that his Dao realm is only the second layer of the world realm, and he cannot use the power of good fortune to repair and expand the Xianhuang realm. A small world with a diameter of more than 2,300 miles can't stand his random tossing. It seems that breaking through the third floor of the world and building the Xianhuang realm should be put on the agenda as soon as possible, Chen Daoxian secretly said. He is now a cultivator of the Yuanshan stage, and the next most important thing for him is not the improvement of his cultivation, but the improvement of the realm of the Great Dao. From the Yuaning stage to the Yuanshan stage, theoretically speaking, the Dao realm can continue to climb, at least until the fifth layer of the world realm, and there will be no obstacles in terms of cultivation. As for whether one can step into the creation realm during the primordial spirit stage, it depends on the cultivator's understanding and good fortune. In terms of comprehension, Chen Daoxian admitted that he did not lose to anyone, nor could he lose to anyone. And good luck. Chen Daoxian was also full of confidence when he thought of the insect puppet factory and the Aoki Ding factory. Good luck in the end still has to rely on strength to speak. Chen Daoxian feels that his future good fortune will not be bad. With excitement, Chen Daoxian's primordial spirit returned to Dantian Zifu again. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian opened his eyes. Divine consciousness glanced at his Zhurong real body. Chen Daoxian thought and returned to his original appearance. However, the vestment on his body had already been destroyed by the purple thunder skyfire when he was condensing Zhurong's real body. At this moment he was naked in the secret room. Simply, Chen Daoxian did not take out the robe from the storage ring, but used the technique of shape transformation to directly condense a robe with mana and put it on his body. Scanning himself with his divine sense again, Chen Daoxian nodded in satisfaction. When he walked out of the secret room, he found that the secret room where Fei Chenxue was retreating had not been opened. He knew that the other party had not yet succeeded in breaking through. All in all, Chen Daoxian simply sat not far from the secret room where Fei Chenxue was retreating and protected the law for her. Although this is the headquarters of the Northern Immortal League, but the protection here is really not that high. Speaking of which, since there are no cultivators from all parties in the headquarters of the Immortal Alliance, the protection is only average. As for those true monarch Nascent Soul and other monks captured by the Xianqing Dao League, they were all banned by the Northern Immortal League. While they had no threat, they also lost the ability to be loyal to their patron. After waiting for a few days outside the secret room where Fei Chenxue retreated, Chen Daoxian directly recruited a Xianmeng disciple who was in charge of patrolling. Chen Daoxian looked at the monk patrolling in front of him and asked, "Which sect monk are you?" The cultivator of the Purple Mansion was suddenly moved by Chen Daoxian by inexplicable means. It was when he was in shock when he heard Chen Daoxian's question suddenly, and he was shocked. But when he saw Chen Daoxian's face clearly, he hurriedly lowered his head and bowed. "My subordinates see the leader of the alliance." To the leader of the alliance, "I am a disciple of the Qianyuan sword sect." Oh! Hearing that the other party was a disciple of Qianyuan sword sect, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but look kind. https:// Chapter 467. It's this time, why do you want Lingshur? Qin Zhan was quite speechless. Who said I was going to borrow spirit stones? Hearing this, Qin Zhan was slightly taken aback. You mean the power of creation? Chen Daoxian nodded, realizing that Chen Daoxian may want to promote the natal magic weapon. Although this move is suspected of sharpening the gun, but promoting the natal magic weapon can enhance a little strength. Now, anything that increases their chances of capturing Tai Shunshui is worth Qin Zhan's doing. Thinking of this, Qin Zhan nodded and said, No problem, how much do you want? Hiss. Chen Daoxian looked at Qin Zhan in surprise, and was taken aback by the tone of the other party's wealth. You must know that he tossed the Xianqing Dao League so ruthlessly during this time, and the power of creation he captured was only about 500 or 600 drops. At this time, seeing Qin Zhan put on an expression that doesn't put the power of creation in his eyes, he is naturally a little uncomfortable. But think about it carefully, the power of creation is not even necessary for a top true monarch like Qin Zhan. Yuanshan Daojun may still have a bunch of 6th-order magic tools to be promoted. For the true monarch Yuanying, the 5th-rank high-grade magic weapon is generally enough. Even if there is enough strength to use the magic weapon, at most 1 or 2 natal magic tools will be promoted to the 6th rank. As for replacing all the instruments on the whole body with instruments of the 6th order or higher, it is simply impossible. Because with the mana of Yuanying Zhenjuan, he cannot support him to use so many 6th-order magic tools. Chen Daoxian was able to use the magic power of the early stage of Jindan to activate the 5th-order magic weapon, relying on the help of the 4th-grade Good Luck White Lotus. Even if he has a 4th-grade fortune-telling White Lotus, and at the same time uses Changying and Fixu's 2 5th-rank fairy swords, the pressure on his mana is extremely great. Chen Daoxian felt more than once that his mana could no longer support him to cast 2 natal flying swords at the same time. Half an hour. Chen Daoxian calmed down and said solemnly, How much do you have? How much do I want? Puff. When Qin Zhan heard this, he was about to spit out the wine in his mouth. The lion opened his mouth? Qin Zhan raised his eyebrows. Do you know how much power of creation I have in my hands? How dare you borrow it all? Do not know. Chen Daoxian shook his head, and then his eyes were solemn. But I will borrow it all. Qin Zhan took a deep look at Chen Daoxian and then waved his hand. On the stone table, a pile of jade bottles was placed densely, and after careful counting, there were 23 bottles in total. There are 100 drops of the power of good fortune in each bottle, and there are 2,300 drops of the power of good fortune. That's all that's left now. I've used up a lot of the magic weapon for promotion. Qin Zhan said indifferently. Chen Daoxian resisted his inner excitement, waved his sleeves, and put all the power of creation on the stone table into the storage ring. Seeing this, Qin Zhan thought for a while, and then took out a jade box from the storage ring. There were many restrictions on the jade box. Chen Daoxian was a little puzzled. This is Shengyuan fruit, which can quickly improve the cultivation level below the nascent soul stage. The effect is similar to that of vitality essence, but Shengyuan fruit can be preserved for a long time, and its value is far higher than that of vitality essence. For me, Qin Zhan said angrily, what do you say? Your Dao realm is far from cultivation. I really don't know why your Dao realm is so terrifying, but your basic cultivation base has seriously dragged down your strength. In the future, you can pay attention to some treasures that can quickly improve your cultivation. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian bowed his hands to Qin Zhan sincerely. Thank you, Hallmaster Qin. Qin Zhan waved his hand. This Saint Yuan fruit was originally intended to be given to Qi Yao after refining the Saint Yuan pill, but now it's cheaper for you. He paused. Although the effect of directly taking Shengyuan fruit is not as good as Shengyuandan, but with your Dao realm, after taking it, you should be able to advance from the early stage of Jindan to the later stage of Jindan without much problem. Hear this. Chen Daoxian was extremely shocked. This is the second kind of treasure he has encountered that can quickly improve his cultivation, and compared with the essence of vitality, the holy essence fruit can be preserved for a long time, and its strategic value is not known how many times higher than that of the essence of vitality. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian murmured, Since it is a spiritual fruit, I think it must have a spiritual root. If I have this kind of spiritual root in my hands, then what are you thinking? Qin Zhan laughed. The Shengyuan fruit tree is the top spiritual root in our Phoenix meteor realm. As far as I know, it seems that there are only a few Shengyuan fruit trees in the Taiyin sect. The fruit on the holy primordial fruit tree is divided into 3 types: 30 years, 300 years, and 3,000 years. With that said, Qin Zhan opened the restriction on the jade box, and a Cyan Shengyuan fruit lay quietly in the jade box. This is the fruit of the Saint Yuan fruit tree for 30 years. Moreover, the Saint Yuan fruit is not omnipotent. You should know that when a cultivator reaches the golden core stage, the improvement of his cultivation is more limited by his own abilities. Road borders. The realm of the avenue is not enough. Even if you take Shengyuan fruit, the effect is very limited. Let's just say that my nephew Qi Yao, with her current Dao realm, after taking this holy essence fruit, she can upgrade her cultivation to the middle stage of Jindan and burn high incense. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. If you directly take a spiritual fruit, your cultivation will soar in place, and it will be a big blow to those monks who practice hard. Immediately, he noticed the Taiyin sect just mentioned in Qin Zhan's mouth, and couldn't help but ask, Dianju Qin, which top force in Xianyunsu is this Taiyin sect? It is indeed a top-level force. The Taiyin sect is located in the fertile soil of Zhongzhou in Xianyun continent, which is thousands of miles away from our overseas borderland. Qin Zhan shook his head. This Saint Yuan fruit in my hand is still one of the batches that was awarded to my Qianyuan sword sect thousands of years ago after I made great contributions to Liangjiyuan. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was speechless. A 30-year-old spiritual fruit can actually be preserved for thousands of years. The value of this Saint Yuan fruit tree is even more terrifying than he imagined. If there is such a spiritual root in a force, as long as it does not die, it will not decline. The greatest significance of Shengyu Wangguo is to ensure that there will be no high-level monk fault in a force. According to the words of the Hall Master of Zhenhai Palace, there are 3 kinds of holy essence fruit. The lowest level holy essence fruit can forcibly improve the cultivation of Jindan cultivators, and the higher grade holy essence fruit can directly improve the cultivation of Yuanying monks and Yuanshan Daojun. Thinking about it this way, there is no need to say much about the strategic significance of the Shengyuan fruit tree to a sect force. Taking over the jade box, Chen Daoxian looked at the green Shengyuan fruit in the jade box. Compared with other spiritual fruits, Shengyuan fruit does not show the slightest spiritual energy from the outside. But his consciousness swept over, but he sensed that there was a terrifying huge spiritual energy surging inside this holy essence fruit. You can retreat with peace of mind during this time, and I will protect the law for you. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian stood up, bowed and said, Thank you, Hall Master Qin. Qin Zhanshu lifted him up and said with a smile, You're welcome. The stronger your strength is, the better our grasp of the next actions will be. Although Qin Zhan thought that Chen Daoxian would not play a big role in this fight for Tai Shunshui, he still gave his words of encouragement. After all, Chen Daoxian is now his only teammate. As for whether the secret hand he had laid before had any effect, Qin Zhan was not sure. Even if the secret hand he arranged works, who can guarantee that the Qingwei Dao faction will not have a secret hand? This is the home of the Qingwei Taoist sect. The Qingwei Taoist sect has been operating in the Qingyuan country for countless years, and who can believe that the other party has no success at all? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.